Alrighty, welcome to episode 118 of TOCWA's Ask Us Anything. As usual, it's been a pretty busy news week. Tesla has expanded its Open Supercharger pilot program to encompass sites in Italy. This latest edition brings the total number of countries participating in the program to 15. Currently, all participating countries are in Europe, although this is expected to change sometime in the short to medium term. With the installation of substantial air source heat exchanger regasification units, it appears that Tesla is preparing to feed Giga Berlin with liquefied natural gas in order to alleviate the impact of impending restrictions arising from Germany's natural gas crisis. Tesla appears to be poised to add Apple Music to its cars, with photographs taken by Aaron Cash at an exhibit at the Peterson Museum in Los Angeles, clearly showing a login QR code and Apple Music app icon present in the main screen of a Model S Plaid media control unit. Tesla has reintroduced a referral program to Tesla product owners in the US. The program currently allows referrers of Tesla's solar products to gain credit points which they can apply to various items and services in Tesla's online shop. It also gives referees purchase credits to use in the same manner. It is not known if and when this program will make its way to Australia and whether or not it will apply to the purchase of Tesla vehicles. Reuters has reported the office of South Korea's President Yoon Suk-yeol as quoting Elon Musk as saying that the Korean Peninsula was among Tesla's top candidates for an additional gigafactory to be built in Asia. The presidential office further claimed that Elon Musk said, quote, "We expect to buy components worth more than $10 billion from South Korean firms in 2023 as we significantly expand supply chain cooperation with South Korean companies." And that was this week's news. Indeed it was, and welcome everyone. I see a couple of new faces, so if anyone is new and you'd like to say hello, please do so.
G'day guys, I'll introduce myself. I'm not going to go on video because unfortunately I've got the dreaded coronavirus, but my name's Mike. I've just today taken delivery, not personally, I got my dad to do it, but take delivery of a new rear-wheel drive Model Y, which I've been waiting for a long time and I'm very happy about. So yeah, I've got some questions which I'll save for a bit later, but I just thought I'd say good day. And I think I've met a couple of you. I know I've met Grumpy Nigel and Pete at some of the EV Meets events, and those guys were very helpful, wealth of info, which helped me to make the decision to buy the Tesla. So yeah, g'day everyone.
G'day Mike, welcome. And I presume you've got the blue Model Y that was picked up today.
Yes, that's the one.
Great photos in a certain forum. In fact, it's Vita Prime's WA section of the forum. I had a good look at them. Looks like the service center was the delivery center was pretty chockers. But yeah, once again, welcome.
Yeah, thanks very much.
Alrighty, anyone else out there that would like to say hello before we get underway?
Hi, my name is Paulo. I'm an EV virgin, I guess, if you want to call it that. Picked up my Model Y as well on Friday, and tons of questions. So it's my first time to join this forum.
Awesome, welcome, Paulo. And yeah, you've come to the right place. So we'll get you and Mike to just reel off as many questions as you like pretty early on. Anyone else as a lucky third, perhaps? Or am I pushing my luck?
Going once, going twice.
Oh,
Gone.
I think once we had something like 4 or 5 in a trot, which was a bit of a record, and but two's good. Okay, so welcome. Well, actually, we might as well go straight to. I think Mike, you were first, so if you've got anything, shoot away.
Yeah, no worries. All right. Well, I've got a couple. The first one's a bit of a doozy, and I spent a lot of time researching it while I was waiting for the car, and so far I got nothing. So I'm hoping you guys might have something for me. But it's to do with using your phone as a key. Now, the problem is that my carport is literally right in front of our master bedroom. We've got like a double brick wall, and my bedside table and my wife's bedside table is right up against that brick wall where our phone chargers are. The problem is when we got our phones on the phone chargers, the car will quite happily open. So what we've done is we've turned off phone key for the time being, and we're just going to use the key cards until we can sort of figure out a way to stop that thing or come up with an alternative.
So what
Yep,
what
and-
I'd go on.
Go on. What I was going to
I was just
actually,
gonna
you say,
answer the
Paul,
question.
and yeah, you go, and I'll get the other part of the answer, which is on Tesla's website. So go, Paul.
So what I do is I use it as a phone key, but I just close the app when you're not using it, and that works because the car doesn't open because it's got nothing to connect to.
Yeah, okay. I
Job
wonder
done.
whether, I need to. I got to make it. What's a nice way of saying this? It's got to have a high wife approval factor. So, yeah, I'll have a chat with her and see if she's keen on doing the forced quit.
Or
see if
you can
that's-
have pin to drive if you're really worried. But
Yeah,
that's
we got
more
pin
of a
to
payment.
drive and pin to
Yeah.
open the glove box and stuff. It's
Yeah.
just, there's been a few times when my wife's forgot to lock, our old car that we've sold now. And, we've come out in the morning to find the doors open and someone's, rifed through it. So,
Oh, bugger.
yeah. So I want to try and avoid that if possible. Yeah.
All right. I mean, Harold might have another.
You can
Yeah,
just
but
turn
that's-
your Bluetooth
yeah.
off on your phone. That's the easiest way.
Yeah, that's another thing that we tried as well. So I just want to make sure that it's absolutely foolproof. That's all. So the Bluetooth off's a good one. I like the force quit as well. Has anyone got anything else?
Yeah. So, Mike, frustratingly, I've got part of a solution that Tesla in Australia is not currently providing. Although having said that, if you go to the service center, they might, and it's this, which it's not on their shop at the moment, but it's what's inside this key band, which is a remote fob, which I think costs north of $200 and south of $300. I think it's between $200 and $300. But this basically, for those who have Model S's and X's, this is the actual way you use your car. So it's I think this one's actually a Bluetooth fob, but it's got quite short range, like very short range. And unfortunately, it's not in Tesla's shop. But what you could do is just go, I guess you're going to have to visit the service center and ask Hal if they can sell you any over the counter. Firstly, ask how much it is. There's kind of a technical reason why it's not on their site at the moment, and that's got to do with lithium-ion batteries and other things. But that's another solution. I personally have one, and I use it because I found I've often forgotten my phone in the on the Qi charger in the car, and of course, if you walk away and your phone's still in the car, it doesn't lock. So I just use a fob, and the fob is quite convenient as long as you carry it with you. You don't have to tap it in the center console to start the car or anything like that, which you do with the RFID tags.
Yeah, that's a great suggestion. I went on their website today and tried to buy one from the US store, but they won't ship to Australia. So I'll take your suggestion once I'm over this bloody coronavirus. I'll go and see the guys at the service center and ask them if I can get one, or maybe I can find a kind person in America that'll on ship it for me.
I did hear someone else that had bought it from Singapore, perhaps. I'm not sure, or Hong Kong.
Okay.
But
There are on
I've got it made
shippers
in America.
in,
It's going to cost
in
a truckload
America.
for shipping. That's all.
sorry, Russell, Nigel was talking first. So that again, Nigel, and then you
I
go,
just
Russell.
said that there are on shippers in America that you use an address and it goes to them and they ship it on to you.
They've
Russell.
they've wised up.
Oh, hang on, Pete.
Though-
Hang on, Pete. Let's let Russell go. Go, Russell.
Yeah, if you wanted to get from America, I've got friends in America who have Teslas as well that they could receive it for you and forward it on. It just costs lots in shipping. Come from the US, probably $100 or something, I would think, in shipping.
Yeah,
Yeah,
okay.
Go, Pete.
Yeah, the freight forwarders, Tesla have wised up to that now. I used to use two different ones and get stuff from the US shop. And now, yeah, it just won't let you do it, Nigel. So it lets you order it, you pay for it, and then you just look in your account when you're expecting it to have received it. And it just, I can't remember what the message is, but yeah, basically it won't let you ship to them.
Bugger.
Yeah, they used to work up until about 6 months ago, and just yeah.
All right, that's cool. I mean, I'm not in any huge rush. The cards are working okay for now, and I've got those other methods that everyone else suggested, which is great. So I'll see what I can do about getting a key fob. I'll talk to the guys at the service center, and yeah, we'll forge on. So thanks, everyone. Appreciate that.
Mike,
No worries.
just one question. I presume you've got walkaway door lock turned on, yeah?
Yeah, we have. Although we worked out that if you've got your phone key turned off, it doesn't walk away door lock. So you got to fire up the app and make sure you lock it.
Yeah. So there's two ways that the walkaway door lock should work through the Bluetooth connection. One is if the Bluetooth connection gets interrupted, that's its signal to let you know. That's the signal for it to know that you're far away from the car and it needs to lock. And the other one, there should be a time element to it. So even with my phone, even if I stay fairly close to the car, after about a minute or a couple of minutes, it locks the car. So even though I'm well within Bluetooth range, so it doesn't do that for you, obviously.
Oh, maybe I didn't give it enough time because the novelty, I literally just got it today and we've been in and out of it all day, like playing with the settings and everything. So, yeah, look, maybe what I'll do is I'll set my phone key up again after I get off the call with you guys, and I'll give it a good, hour or so, and then I'll go and check on it, see how it goes.
You have also with the walkaway lock, there's a checkbox there that says exclude home. So if you want it to lock at home, make sure that's not ticked.
All right, I'll check that one as well. Thank you.
Yeah, that's all right.
Yep.
Cool. Any others, Mike, for now, or should we go to Paolo?
Yeah, you can go
Just
to
on-
Paolo. Yep.
Just on that
Yeah,
question from Mike, if those don't work and he's got an iPhone, he can set up a Siri shortcut. And so that's independent of the Telstra app. He could say, when I'm at home and plugged into charging, turn off the Bluetooth. So that, as long as you're not listening to music, I guess that might be a workaround. Possibly
Well,
you can turn off the
that's a good
Telstra
idea.
app, but I'm not sure about third-party apps.
Yeah, that's a great idea. All right, I'll look into that one as well.
Yeah, there's an app called If This Then That you can try and use. I think that's what James was referring to.
Yeah, I know the one. Yep.
If this and that's similar, but there is actually Siri shortcuts. Not many people use them, but it's good. Like I've got one that when I arrive home, it opens the door sort of thing.
Cool. Awesome. All right, Paolo, give us your list of questions.
In no particular order. So when I've been reading up on it, as you do, and I've read some of the literature about not charging to 100%, charge to 80 unless you're doing a big trip next day. As soon as I picked up my Tesla, I asked that question and they said, oh no, you have, and I can't remember what kind of batteries, but
LFP. Yep.
You have
LFP battery. Yeah. Lithium ion.
Sorry, what's the battery?
Lithium phosphate ion, LFP. So
Yeah.
Lima Foxtrot Papa.
So there's that, and the guy said, yeah, 100%, or 100%. Is that correct?
Yes.
Absolutely.
So
Okay.
Paolo, you can, because you have a standard range Model Y, it has an LFP battery. You'll also notice in the charging screen, which I'll just bring up, it basically has tick bars. Let me just. Sorry, I'm just going to try and make this a little bit. Anyway, it basically you'll see that there are tick marks from 50% to 100%, and you can absolutely charge your car to 100% all day, every day. If you had a long range Model 3 or an older standard range Model 3, you would actually see the word daily, I think, here, and trip here. Because that is absent, It means that you can charge your car to 100% all day, every day. And that's been directly confirmed by Tesla as being the case. It's actually recommended that you in fact do charge your car to 100% at least once a week. But you can also charge your car every day to 100% if that suits your lifestyle.
Basically, with that battery, Paolo, you just set it to 100%, leave it there, and just get into the habit of plugging in every time you come home, and don't ever worry about it again.
Okay. And if I'm going on a long trip, say a fortnight, just leave it plugged. Leave it
You should always leave it plugged
plugged.
in, even
Is
if
that correct?
even
Yes.
if you're not using the car, or even if it's you should always plug it in, even if you're not charging. So when it finishes charging, when it gets to 100%, it will spend a little bit of time doing all sorts of things like balancing cells and adjusting the temperature of the battery to prolong its life. So it's good habit to always plug your car and leave it plugged in even when it's not charging, if you can.
Okay. Thank you. Right. Again, as I said, in no particular order and all unrelated. So when I got it and I looked at the app, it says cold the tires at 42 PSI. I've seen some forums where they're saying it's a harsh ride. I think it's all right. But if you want a better ride, but obviously I think it does compromise the distance. Is it recommended, let's say just around town, to lessen it to whatever it might be, 38, so that
No.
it's a bit of a more comfy
No,
ride? Is
no.
that
So
recommended or not?
the best recommendation, Tesla's official recommendation, is on the inside of the driver's door on the B pillar. So you'll see there's a sticker there that that tells you the pressures, and I think is it 45 psi
I
or is
thought
it
it was
44?
42.
40, or is it 42?
Yeah,
Is it?
Yeah, 42
Okay.
for the Model Y. It's on your main screen under service. It actually says what the recommendations are. We had that in an update, and it just stays on there for whatever car you're in.
Oh, it does too. Yeah, it says
Yeah.
42 psi.
I
Yeah,
know.
42.
It's Leonie's.
All right,
Well, you guys
so
know.
just keep it at that. Even if it's if that's the recommended,
Oh, don't go below that.
don't go below that.
In fact,
Okay.
vehicle manufacturers are notorious at offering lower or recommending lower pressures than the tire manufacturers would otherwise recommend. So I'd treat the 42 as a minimum. And don't forget, that's the cold inflate. So that should be before you've driven the car. Or if you have driven the car, you might want to allocate like an extra 3 PSI or so, depending on conditions. Because otherwise, if you just fill it at the BP or whatever at 42 after you've driven a few kilometers, when you get home, it'll actually be more like 39. So it's actually the cold inflate pressure.
It's really interesting. The car that we got today, all the tires are 41 except for the front left, which is 40. Which, according to what you guys are saying, seems low. So I might get my little Ryobi compressor out tomorrow and bump them up a little bit, I think.
Absolutely. And I personally pump my tires up a lot harder than that, but I actually pump them to the max cold inflate that's on the sidewall of the tire. I'm not recommending anyone does that per se, but that's what I've done for quite a long time and gotten perfectly adequate results. The Model Y isn't a hard ride. A lot of people say it is. It might be a hard ride compared to some Mercedes EQC something or whatever, but it's a fantastic car.
Okay, thanks. Jumping into tint, so maybe I'm being upsold here. So as you're aware, there's no tint in the front. So I got quoted just tint a car 280 for the darkest legal. The person there was trying to upsell me, saying that the back and the back windows, the privacy windows, and the one at the back, they're tinted, but they don't offer any heat resistance or something like that. So they can put a film and repel. Is that complete BS?
You're being upsold, like you said.
Yep.
So it's the same that applies with the glass roof. You know, the glass roof has an extraordinary infrared barrier to it. You just cannot feel the sun while you're driving full sunlight, and you just cannot feel the heat. Whereas you compare that to the windscreen, and the heat is actually absolutely blaring in. So just do your darkest tint legal, whatever, on your front sides, and job done.
In fact, Paolo, I went to the same company with my Model 3 when I first got it 3 years ago, and I did put some tinting on the roof. And the way they sold me on it is they did a experiment where they put a heat lamp, and then they showed me the tinting, and then they showed me some other tinting. They both looked the same. They both blocked out roughly the same amount of light, but one was blocking out considerably more heat. So that's the one that I went for. And once he was in the car, I can't tell any difference. And in fact, that was on a black Model 3 with black seats, and that car's always hotter than the white cars with white seats without any tinting on the roof. So, yeah.
All right.
My advice
Thanks,
with Paolo, having the two glass roof Teslas, is wait. Tinting is a very personal choice, but don't rush into anything. Wait until halfway through summer. Literally, you can book your car in the next day to get it tinted if that's what you decide you need. Don't rush into it. Trust people like Harold, like Grumpy Old Man. They have better heat detectors on the top of their head than I do. So if it was getting hot, they would know. But
Yeah, guys,
it is personal. And use the cabin, put the aircon on. Yes, otherwise it does feel hot anyway. But put the cabin heat on
James.
10 minutes before.
Yeah,
And-
James, I do have this heat detector and ultraviolet light detector up here, and I actually have my seat raised so high that there's only about 2 inches between my head and the roof, and I feel nothing. But everybody's got a personal thing, and I know a lot of people bitch and gripe that they can't stand the heat, it's too hot, blaring off the roof. They're just probably a bit more sensitive than me.
I've got an opinion on that too, guys. And I guess it depends on how tall you are as well. But the roof doesn't let heat through, but it gets hot. It gets red hot. And if you touch it, you feel that. So you're picking up, there's a convection bubble around the glass, and there's obviously a little bit of radiation off the glass. So tinting it's not going to make any difference because the glass is already hot. Tinting's on the inside. But certainly if you feel the heat, and I do massively, I just got a screen and I put it in when it starts to get hot, shade, and pop it out when it cools down. I like having the roof completely open when I can. But tinting's a waste of time because the tint's after the glass is already heated up.
Yeah, that's 100% correct. In fact, the tinting actually makes the glass hotter because it can, because the heat doesn't go through the glass. It sort of gets trapped in the glass, so it actually makes the glass hotter to the touch. But yeah, I've got on the Model Y now, I've got a retractable, I'm a bit like Mark, I do feel the heat. And I've got a retractable sunshade, which works really great. So it's a bit expensive, a little bit tricky to install, but I'm glad I got it. And yeah, you can just open it as much or as little as you like. And it's got magnets in the middle, and the two concertina sections just join up in the middle. It's pretty cool.
Tom from Ludicrous Feed is that he did a install and a review on that. It did look pretty good, but yeah, live a few days in Perth. You can get tint done the next day, but just make sure you go to a good place.
Yeah, thanks.
All right, you're on a roll, Paolo. You got anything else for us?
I got one more just for now, but I'm sure I'm going to have more in weeks to come as I learn more about the car. So reading about now wraps PPF. So what was interesting was I drove it straight to a PPF in Osborne Park and went into their garage where it was really light. And Jesus, you can see all the marks on the paint, right? You won't see it in the normal light, but in really good light, you could see it's all scuffed in circles. So my question is, I'm planning to have it actually fully wrapped. Pros, cons, comments is all welcome because it's quite an expensive exercise.
Okay, so before the pro wrappers jump in, I'll just say that I've had a Model X
let
for
Richard talk.
220,000
Okay.
Ks and never had it wrapped, never have it coated with anything, barely ever washed it. And it today looks almost the same as it did, nearly 6 years ago. So that's
for all
me
the
from,
chips in it.
except for all the paint
Yeah,
chips on the aluminium bonnet, which have never changed color or character because there's no further corrosion because it's aluminium. But anyway, feel free, all the pro wrappers, to jump in and tell us about it.
I'll jump in. I got my Model 3 Performance first day reservation holder, drove it to the wrappers, got it done, full PPF, best thing ever. It can be dusty and I'll just hose it off and chamois it off. And with glue paint, that would swirl to the max. But with the PPF, you get no swirling. It looks as there's not one stone chip on the car. It's good as the day I got it. And it's done 60,000 Ks. $5,000 it cost me, but it was worth it because the car is perfect. As good as the day I bought it. And
I got my Model Y wrapped as soon as I got it.
Also depends on the color. If you've got blue, then you get a stone chip and it's going to look bloody awful. If you've got white, you're probably not going to see it as much.
Exactly.
Oh,
And-
no, it does. I've got white and I've got a few stone chips. And yeah, because
Without the
chips are black
without
on
the
white,
wrap.
they do come up.
I've had my car for a year and a half, and I've haven't had it wrapped, and it looks the same as it did when I bought it.
Yeah, I think it's just
I
a
totally agree
personal
with-
choice.
I totally agree with Harold that it's been no issue, but I do know that I've got $5,500 still in the bank.
You should have got
Yeah.
Tesla shares.
And then
with that, mate.
I've had quite a few stone chips on my old Model 3 that I got wrapped, and that would have really chipped the white paint. But with a bit of heat or sticking out in the sun,
This video
the chips healed themselves. And
Yeah.
Harold, the Mr. Vooks or Mrs. Vooks has got their hand up.
That's Michael, I think. Go, shoot.
Don't know.
You just got to unmute yourself. There you
Just
go.
a quick question about while we're talking about chips. Does anyone have, I got a chip already. Does anyone have any paint touch-ups that they recommend, or?
What was it?
Because I know
Colour-
Tesla
colour and
US
paint?
sells it, but here we don't sell it.
Like the color and paint or whatever
Yeah.
What's
off
that one?
Amazon. It was like 50
I've got
bucks.
I've got some in the garage if you want me to grab it.
You reckon it works all right?
Yeah, it's from
Yeah,
Amazon.
I did it for mine on my car.
Okay.
You can't see.
It's for free, but you don't
Same
want to abuse the privilege or they'll stop doing it. But I had a friend who's had all these chips appearing on his driver's door on the crease, and it's his wife's car, and of course I said, "Looks like you're opening it on the pillar," and he goes, "Oh no, definitely not opening it on the pillar." And finally we got to the bottom of it. I said to her, "You opening that door on the pillar?" She goes, "Oh yeah, because Dougal's put carpet there for me." That was for the Subaru.
Yeah.
Oh,
So
nice.
anyway, I took it to Barra, and they said, "Look, we won't spray it. That will cost you. That has to flare into the other, into the other door. But we'll do a touch up for you for free." We do that for Tesla's customers, and you couldn't tell it was after
Where's
that.
this?
That's
Sorry,
it.
Barra.
Yeah.
Arrow panels and paints.
Okay, yeah, because I just got one chip randomly in the front bumper, and I've had it a week. So
Hey,
Yeah.
Joe, are you there? Joe, she knows Barrel pretty well. Joe, you there? Come in, Joe.
They're fantastic guys. They did my work. They're brilliant.
Yeah, there she is. Joe, I believe, has used Barrel panel and paints, haven't you, Joe?
Yeah.
She'll
So-
stay unmasked because she's a dentist and she doesn't like to show her face on Zooms.
I've actually finally got COVID, so I do have a slight.
Oh.
Look,
There you
COVID.
go.
Oh
Oh,
no.
you Did you get it by email?
I've been in this room for 4 days.
4
Um,
days.
But yes, same story as what would be your name, MD? Mark, that's the one. Yeah. Yeah, we took it there and they fixed it. White Model 3. So yeah. The white though doesn't, when it's patched up, because it's pearl white, it doesn't come out exactly the same pearly.
No, the Midnights, they patched when I fixed my car, because I met them through having someone decide to wipe the front off my car while it was parked. And I've always thought if ever I get my car fixed, I'll sell it. In this case, I was waiting to sell it anyway. Got a new one. But they fixed it so well. It was just an absolute amazing job. They're the best panel beater I've dealt with in the years. And to offer that. Sorry?
They had all their teeth?
Yeah, that's the thing. You go into their office and it doesn't look like a typical panel beater. Harold put up the front of their office. They look very professional. You go inside, he's got a Harley Davidson and a Vespa scooter sitting in there, sort of, obviously they're his showpieces. I don't know that they're ever ridden, but it's just a different approach to panel beating. You know, when everyone else is, oh yeah, mate, you can bring it in September. And I did this in June. Someone hit my car. Oh, I can't even look at it till September. They just said, look, bring it in next week. And Jason there said, I can fix it for you. It was on the 29th of July. So it was 4 weeks from when it was hit to fixed. Fantastic job. I just can't recommend them more than, you know, I'm not big on. Today I had my wheels done by XS, under XS, got them painted black on my new long range. Wouldn't recommend them. First thing I did when I came home was completely clean the inside of my car, because it was absolutely covered in white shit from panel beater dust. Really bad. And the wheels are okay, but that's just crap. Barra, you pick the car up and the whole car's just like when you drove it in there, except it's not broken anymore.
The
Yeah,
other
they did
alternative,
ours when we because they're just around the corner from the delivery centre, and we were actually going, because it's a long way for us otherwise, all the way up there, but we were going to pick up our Model Y, so we just drove up in the 3, dropped it off at Barra, then walked around the corner, picked up the Model Y, and then had a little play with it and everything, went for a little drive, and then went back to pick up the 3. So yeah, it was.
But you don't want to overdo it, because obviously if we tell people like on this forum and then everyone starts cutting a chip here and a chip there, they'll end up saying, well, that's enough, isn't it?
the other alternative is, sorry, Pete, the other alternative is to go to Amazon and you can get Colour and Drive.
Yep. That's it.
So they have matching, you just go by paint colour. That one there is the Poverty Pearl White.
Yeah, I
Yep.
did
And
see
it's
this.
the whole $64.
Yeah.
And you get it in a couple of weeks, 3 weeks.
Okay.
And it
Can
has
I
the
just say that
different paint for the pearl white is a separate section within it. So there's a couple of little paint things. So you just do them one at a time. Yeah, looks pretty slick. Everything done.
can I
Sorry.
just say,
Sorry,
like,
you're going to say? Yep, go, James.
you're going to get chips. Deal with it. I don't have PFPF.
Yeah.
I use this type of thing for cleaning my car, the BP car wash. But it has the BP car wash, which horrifies people. It's going to get chips. Don't try and fix every chip. Wait a while.
Yeah.
I've seen so many people that have used those kits, and the fix looks worse than the little tiny chip. You know, with a blob around it. Like, as you say, if it's going to rust, you want to get rid of it. But so many times the people they drop it on. It looks like liquid paper. You know, you had a little tiny chip that you couldn't notice, and suddenly you got a big lump of liquid paper in your car. But you tried in somewhere it doesn't mind, see how it goes. But like Barra, we took our car there because someone reversed into the thing with a tow bar. They were awesome. I would say, if you love your car and you really want to look after it, get the PPF. But I prefer the $5,000 for a family holiday.
Yeah,
But-
so myself, what I
Yeah.
do is I don't get PPF. I actually get all my cars ceramic coated.
Yeah.
And I actually
that's
got
the
it
one.
booked in for a ceramic coating, and I've managed to chip it before the ceramic. I get the
Yeah, but-
interior ceramic as well.
You'll
Yeah, but
still
if
chip
you-
the
Ceramic
ceramic coat.
coating is not
Yeah.
going to protect the paintwork from stone chips.
My last word was wait until you get a few stone chips.
Yeah.
And the first time you get a stone chip in a unnoticeable place, you know, under the curve at the bottom of your car, have a go at one of the things then.
Yeah.
Don't be the first stone chip, the one in the middle of your bonnet. 'Cause you'll be
20% of
staring
them are
at
in the
forever.
bumper. If you can get your bumper done at a reasonable price, you're done. That's where I had all mine after 2.5 years. Fortunately, someone wiped me out on the car park and Barra completely repainted my bumper. It was better than new.
Yeah.
But before that, all my chips were in the bumper. I had one on an A-pillar, unfortunately, but that was just really bad luck, I guess.
Harold, hand up. Ricky.
Oh, Ricky. Yes.
Harold,
Yeah.
before we go to the next question, just wanted to make mention there's actually 4 Tesla authorized repairers or panel beaters in Perth. So Bowra is obviously one of them. And yeah, most people seem to have had really good experiences with them, including myself. But there's also McCarthy Prestige in Claremont. They're not cheap. There's Mirage in Belmont and J&M Smash Repairs in the Lager as well. So there's 4 of them.
Oh, J&M, they're actually a family friend.
Oh, there you go. You're set.
So they're now, as of about a year ago, I think they were the latest to be authorized by Tesla.
Yeah.
Thanks, Pete.
No worries.
All right.
All right, Ricky.
Yeah. Sorry. I just was going to follow up on the question around the tinting. So I actually just got called by Tesla this afternoon saying my Model Y just got matched, so they want me to pick it up next week. So I'm like, okay, everything's just
Awesome.
coming ahead early, which is cool. But on the tinting side, I also was getting some quotes for like ceramic coating and tinting and things, but I guess kind of what you guys were saying is that because they were saying an extra $220 for the moonroof and stuff to tint the moonroof, and so you guys were saying that just what the side windows is probably the main ones that's important to get tinted. Is that what you thought?
Yeah, absolutely. Just do the fronts, the front driver and passenger.
Yeah.
That's all you need to do. And it depends on whether you want. I know on my X, which I think is very similar, the way to get, you could either have the tint match so it looks the same, or you can have high performance tint, because if you have sort of like the metallized film, it'll look
Like the
slightly
ceramic
different
kind of
on
ones.
it'll look different on the outside. But if you don't really care, then who cares? Then just get whatever you're
Harold,
most.
I think the privacy tint in the back is only about 20%. So there's no way you can legally do the front to match it. It's just too dark.
Oh no, that's right. What I mean is match the color. So
right.
it'll be lighter.
Yep,
But
same colour.
I know on my X, again, my back was darker than I got my fronts because the darkest legal isn't that dark. But to match the color, I had to actually get standard tint, like ceramic or whatever it was, titanium tint. It had to be bog standard colored film just to match the color. So that's a personal
match the color
preference
of what, or like the rear
of the rear windows.
Yeah. So the rear is like the rear is already tinted then, and the boot.
Oh yes,
on the Y.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah,
Oh.
everything's
Okay,
tinted
cool.
except for the windscreen and the 2 front side
drivers,
glasses.
passenger.
Yeah, the drive.
Okay.
Exactly. Yeah, but everything else, and don't bother with the roof. The roof is
and it's already they're all UV. Like, so I'll have a baby in the back and stuff sometimes, so that the
Total
moon
UV.
roof and the back's all UV already. Yeah,
absolutely.
cool.
And it's not just UV; it's also infrared. So as was said before, the roof will get red hot when it's parked in the sun, because that's just the physics of what it does. Once you start driving, it'll basically return to close to the ambient air temperature of the air that you're punching through. So if it's 40 degrees outside, the roof will get to probably 41 or something like that, But
no, it's great to know.
It won't stay hot.
What about anyone recommend places to get the tinting? Is it just, if it's just the front and up front, then it's pretty cost effective. Doesn't matter where you go, or is there anyone particular?
I've used a place called Solar Ban in Bayswater. I've just found it reasonably priced and good service. But others, I think, have mentioned Tintercar and others, I think.
Yeah, they give a
So-
RAC discount. But wherever.
Okay.
I
Yeah.
think Harold's one's probably, if he's had a
Yeah.
good thing,
Just-
go with Harold's one.
Well, that's if you're in Bayswater. I mean, that was just
Yeah,
one
I'm probably
out of-
like I'm kind of double view, like near Osborne Park, so that's probably near
Oh,
the
there's
Oh,
no doubt there's
Tintakar or
plenty in
whatever.
Aussie Park.
There's heaps in there. Yeah.
Throw a
I
rock,
went
you'll
to
hit one.
Yeah.
went to Tintakar in Joondalup in Clarkson, and they were very bad. I had to take it back to Tintakar in Osborne Park, and they were very good at
Okay,
fixing it.
that's good.
So just go on those type of things. Just
Yeah,
because
yeah.
it's Tintakar doesn't mean it's good.
Yeah.
Second car I went to Dentless in Wangara, and they were brilliant. So, but that's Wangara, and same. I think there's two of them. I don't know
Yeah,
what the other one
Dentless
is
is
like.
who I was getting the quotes for,
Yeah.
but like they were kind of recommending the the full silver package with the car, with the ceramic and the the
I
whole
got
shebang.
mine was cheaper than the Tintakar one,
Mhm.
but they did do a ceramic on the back just so it matched the color and look of the front. I think it was a 70%. So it looked to me, it looked like clear, and it just added a bit of ceramic stuff to it, but it made it look the same color, different darkness, but the
Yeah.
same color. Like it wasn't one wasn't brown and the other
Yeah.
like grey. They were both the same.
The rear doors and like the boot kind of things. Is that what you meant? Like
I did get the boot done as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And did you do any ceramics with them as well? Because I know they do ceramic for the actual car as well.
No, I
didn't
take my
bother?
car to BP through the car wash.
Yeah.
I've got kids. I go dirt country, get chipped and that. And
Yeah.
I'm not saying I don't care about it. It's a car. It's going to get chipped, and I do my best. But other people love their car, and swear by.
Yeah.
James, it's really interesting what you said. My friend had his car at Tintakar in Clarkson last week, and I mean it could happen to anyone, but they obviously have to put the window right up when they're tinting the whole thing, because as soon as you open the door, the windows naturally come down because there's no frame around them. So the doors were open, and one of the young workers there went past. The door was near a wall, so to get past, he just sort of closed the door with the glass manually still up, and fractured the glass. But
that's funny you say that, Pete, because
lucky.
they scratched my, the trim. They did exactly the same window. They forced the window up, which you have to do to tint it. They closed the door, and now I've got a scratch on the the black trim that goes down there. And we had a very long and conversation about that, and they were saying, "Oh, that wasn't ours. It could have been anyone." I said, "Mate, you're the only people that have done that." And so I ended up speaking to the management, the franchisor, and they recommended Osborne Park. I can't speak highly enough about Osborne Park. They took it in, they fixed everything up. There's bubbles in it. It wasn't quite square in places. So Tintakar's a franchise. Just be careful. I wouldn't personally. Not a good experience at Clarkson, and now you're on the second person. Yet Tintakar and Osborne Park seemed really, really good.
I had mine done at Tintakar in Burswood, and they were great. So, but it just depends on who you get. And he had the same thing. So he had the cracked glass, he had the scratch on the trim, on the black trim, obviously where the window hit. And there was some parts at the bottom of the tinting which were you could see the streaking. Yeah. So,
if it's okay, I've got another question about charging.
Go, Ricky.
It's probably, my house is an older house, so it's a little bit complicated. And now it's been brought forward to like next week. It's kind of get a little bit more pressing. But so if you guys can see my screen now.
Wow.
Are you going to have 4 HPWCs?
That's impressive.
This is that's the meter box up there, old school meter box. So there's an outdoor like 10 amp rated power point up here. Apart from that, there's a light in the garage and a couple of 10 amp kind of power points at the very back of the garage, which means that even with the UMC, I think it says it's 6 meters. I assume that's 6 meters in total from the point to the to the end of the car. it'll basically just reach to the outside the door, like maybe not even enough to get up to the height of the rear of the Tesla if I park it right up to the door. Reversing into this garage is really, really tight. Like it's a small garage. Currently got a camper trailer in there, but I did take it out. I've got a test drive Model Y for an hour to test it out, and like, yeah, it's super, super tight. I can just fit it in, but I wouldn't want to be doing that every day. So yeah, I don't know. I'm a little bit kind of unsure what to do, and also because of this driveway is super, super narrow. So if I reverse it kind of quite far down, you basically can't open all 4 doors. You know, only can open one side. So you know, it would mean I have to reverse. You know, plug it in somewhere somehow, and then drive it forward to kind of put the baby in and the wife to get in and stuff. So yeah, I don't know. And like, yeah, like I was saying, that the lines
do you
are
own
kind of
the house?
conduit. Yeah.
Do you own the house?
Yep.
Okay, so you can see your meter box is on the left. So one good thing is your house has floorboards, so you can actually pull conduits underneath the house. So you've got a cavity wall on the left where the door is, so you can go underneath the house, and that gets you anywhere you like from left to right. So you can go into that big garage. You could the cable on the HPWC, the high power wall connector, is 7.3 meters long. So you could mount it to the right hand side of your driveway against that limestone wall. Yep, just about there where your mouse is. Yeah, exactly there. And then you could basically, I presume, since your letterbox is where it is, that's the boundary. So your property line is the red part of the concrete, isn't it? Yeah. So you certainly
there is a little bit of a garden bed here, which is inside. There's actually one of those domes like here, but can't use that.
So no, that's right. So so your charging port is on the rear left part of the car, which means if you reverse it down the driveway, it's in the perfect position to put your HPWC on the right hand side where your mouse is right there. If you fitted it there, all your electrician has to do is go through the cavity wall, down into the cavity under the house, and then go across over what would be your ceiling. But I presume the ceiling of your garage is actually just joists, like
it's part it's part concrete, part
wooden floor.
I'm trying to think.
Wooden floor at the back of it, perhaps, or
actually, I think it's all concrete actually.
Oh, okay. Well, that's cool. But I
I
presume
mean, there is already a conduit in there. There is conduit in there, which was for the for the light switch and stuff. So I don't know how that got there originally. But
well, here's the other question: have you got single phase or 3-phase?
Yeah, that's what I was gonna. I do have 3-phase.
Oh, nice.
Oh, yes, you do.
Yeah,
and this one's not being used, so that there's a bore. It's labelled as bore pump, but we don't have a bore pump. So
cool.
Yeah, the only problem is technically.
Still got to put an isolator in 900 meters.
Okay, so one good thing is you can see in your middle row, you've got basically separate RCDs and then 2 circuits. So you've got basically 8 DIN positions that you can collapse down to 4 DIN positions because you can delete those 2 RCDs and run your circuits off what are called RCVOs, which are combination RCD and breaker. So
it combines these 2 kind of thing and these 2.
Yes, so it basically eliminates the RCDs because they're built into the breakers. So that means that middle row then has 4 spare DIN positions, which means you can then put the bottom row right-hand breakers up to the top row, and then you've got all of the bottom row for your Tesla charger. Because what you need to do is have an RCBO. You need a residual current device with an overload, and
that takes up more than 3 spots, does it?
Between 4 and Yep. So what Russell's got there is a 5 DIN RCBO.
Sorry, should I stop sharing?
Actually, I'll just highlight. I'll spotlight. So that's 5. That's a 5 DIN RCBO.
Yeah, and you can also get a smaller one that does 4 as well.
You can do it. You can get a Hager one, which
I replaced that one with. I had this one in first.
Yep.
And I took
You've
it out
got-
and put a 4 in so I could fit more shit in my switchboard. So
which is what you always need to do.
Yeah.
So you can get a Hager one, which is a 4-DIN 3-phase RCBO.
yeah, that's the
and-
one I got. It's really nice
Yeah.
too. It looks nice.
Very nice. It is very nice, Russell. So that's what you can do.
Can I just butt in while you're thinking, Harold? If you've got a UMC, it's not recommended, but I would recommend. How many kilometers do you think you're going to be doing daily?
Yeah, that was my other issue because I don't do many kilometers. So, and I also can charge at work when I go in the office.
My
so-
recommendation then,
yeah.
right now, Ricky, is go to Bunnings, buy the best short extension cable you've got.
Yeah.
Use a
like
UMC.
a 5 meter or
Yeah, a 5 meter, whatever you need. Use a UMC. Only set to about 8, 6, 7, 8 amps to charge. Live with it a while. In the meantime, get at least 3 Sparkies to come out and give you a quote for
Right.
each of those options.
Well, that's why I've already had a few quotes,
Yeah.
and that's what they're
Yeah.
telling me, like running it above the roof here and down here and trenching. And it's like
My other question is,
$2,000
look
and
at
stuff.
your. I'm not expert. Harold will probably going to tell you here. But looking at your board, I'm pretty sure before they can do any work, they're going to want to change the main fuses.
Yeah, exactly what I was
Before
about
they can
to.
do anything. Yeah. So there's an extra cost there.
I recently had a
Yeah.
high power connector installed, and one of the things that they had to, they wouldn't touch the fuses, but the other thing that they
Western
had
Power.
to do was they had to change the main switch. So apparently the legislation February this year, where the main switch now has to be a breaker, a
Which it
main
is.
breaker,
It already
current
is.
rated breaker.
Isn't
It
that
is?
what this
Okay.
is the three here, is it?
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
top left. So my one looked a lot like a breaker. It even had a current rating on it. But it turns out that was just the maximum current for the switch. And they needed to change that over to be just a what do you call it, a main circuit breaker.
Circuit breaker.
instead
Yeah.
of just
That'd be a 3-phase 32 amp circuit breaker.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. Well,
So
that's
my last
actually-
bit of advice there, Ricky, would be you don't have a bore at the moment, but where was the bore? Was the bore in the front of the house or the back of the house?
No, I think it was just literally. I mean, when we bought the house, this is just how they labelled it. I don't think there is any bore in the house at all. I think maybe they intended to install a bore at some point, so they kind of electricians like labelled that as bore pump,
Yep.
but that does
All I
nothing.
was
It's always
saying
off.
is, all I was thinking is, if they've run conduit and cable
Yeah.
to a bore location, it looks like you're on the lowest point is the front. So you have to charge in your drive. If you're not doing your main charge, I think if the bore's over on the left, put your charging point there and park in your grass. If it's not, something you have to charge every day.
Yeah,
Correct.
maybe
You
I
did
can
have a
ask.
bore. You definitely had a bore. That's a big old-fashioned bore switch right in the middle of your switchboard.
Yeah.
Is
Yeah,
that,
it's
is that
the old one.
I thought that was an old like Western Power kind of thing. Is
That's
that-
the old way. No timer. You
stop.
just went out there and pushed a button and turned it on. And then when you're finished, you pushed the
Ah.
button and turned it off again.
Yeah, it's an old bore pump switch.
Okay.
And
Is it-
those breakers, so those fuses, that's Western Power. You can't touch that. Neither can
No.
electrician.
No,
Got to be done by Western Power. They've got to upgrade
These
that.
ones. Oh, these ones.
Yeah.
the
Right
grade.
to the
Yep.
top right hand side. That's Western Power.
The funny thing is, he's got a smart meter, right? When Western
Yeah, you saw
Power
that.
put
I
that
don't think
smart meter,
I don't think they're being used,
They,
right?
No, they don't upgrade anything. They're really
I was
shit.
going to say
They put a
that's
smart meter on there
lazy.
to upgrade stuff.
That's lazy as they should have
Yeah,
swapped
that's
that out
what
when they
they
did
call
the
them,
smart
Western
meter.
Power. It's Western
No,
Power.
I've got new stuff. I've got new solar. I've still got the 3 fuses. They're 65 amp or something. They're way bigger than anything in your board. They're just a last resort. There's actually a pole out on our strata at the front with another breaker for our unit, but the fuses are in there. I haven't actually measured to see if they're actually wired in, but I dare say they still are because they're 65 amp fuses. They're not going to blow.
Well, the
So as a
fuses are
temporary-
there to protect the run between your house and the pole, basically.
The poles. Yeah.
Correct.
Dome. Just connect it to your dome. It'll be the cheapest charge.
I did think of that. It's literally right next to it. It's great spot.
Just some big alligator clips.
It has
If
to
you do
go.
put it out the front, make sure you put it on charge on
Yeah. No, I thought about that. Yeah. There's a lot of Teslas around me. Trust me, I've seen them a lot recently. So
Yeah, we've got your street number. What street
Yeah,
are you
yeah,
on?
yeah.
And put it that one there near the letterbox. Number 56. We'll be around every day to make sure it works.
Just chuck it on plug share and let us know
Yeah.
what time.
Well, that's
Ricky,
what so the
quick-
UMC was what I was thinking about, like, as a temporary. Even some electricians even came out and they said, look, like given the run's pretty long and it's a bit of a pain, they're like, maybe just go with the UMC for a while and see how you feel. But my only slight issue with that, right, was that it's right at the back of the shed, so I can't even reach out. So that's why I was going to ask. I've been looking at Bunnings I actually work at Bunnings in the head office, but about the extensions. 3. But they were mainly the Tesla kind of guys, right? So I haven't really got a standard Sparky.
There's your first fault, Ricky. Find
Yeah.
3 electricians that don't do and attach the word Tesla, and
Yeah,
they'll
yeah.
probably give you a more genuine quote.
Yeah.
I think anything attached with Tesla starts with another 1,000 on top.
Yeah, but I reckon I can make do. I reckon the UMC will be suitable. I think for the most part. It's just I was just considering whether it's worth getting a 15 amp upgrade, for the point that's in the garage. But then again, it might be a share. I think it's shared maybe with one of these other circuits because there's a light switch already there, so it's probably so it says mixed circuit here. I reckon it's probably one of these ones is the one that goes to the garage.
Yeah, so I think if you have a dedicated 15 amp outlet, you've got to have it on a separate breaker these
Yeah.
days.
But I could do that. Is this a blank here? Do you think
Yeah,
this is
that's a blank there. That's a spare spot. Yep, exactly.
So could I get them to install a 15 amp there?
You
But then
could,
they've got to
yes.
run the conduit though, right? To the
Yeah,
garage.
that's right. So if you're going to run
Yeah.
that, they might as well run 3-phase to a
Correct.
HPWC on your limestone wall to the right hand
Yeah.
side of your
Yeah.
Sometime in your life, you'll want to charge it quickly, believe me.
Yeah.
Maybe
But I
not
need to get the
every-
UMC anyhow because of the to charge at my work. So for now, at least until they install the proper chargers, I have to buy the UMC anyhow, which they just came back in stock today, which is good timing.
If you're thinking of doing more electrical upgrades to your house in the future, and maybe consider actually putting a subboard like in the
Subboard,
garage or
yeah,
something.
that's one of the electricians said. He put a subboard in the garage, and then you can do
Yeah.
whatever. Yeah, especially if I
And
get
then-
solar or something.
And then you have more space to do things like you want another air conditioner, or
Yeah.
if you put like an induction cooktop or whatever, you've got extra capacity.
Yeah.
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 Um,
No, that's what someone said.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Sorry, someone said something.
So Ricky, if you're going to be relying on the UMC, you'd really either want to buy a second UMC so that you always have one in the car, or then you might as well go the wall connector.
Right.
Because, no one's going to be disciplined enough to be charging with the UMC every day and then packing it up every day and putting it back in the car. You'll just end up leaving it in the garage, and then you'll be at someone's house and you'll be running low, and you realise you've got no plan D.
Yeah. Well, I was actually my plan A is to drive into work, charge it there, and almost 2 or 3 times a week, and never charge it at home. But anyway, we'll see how that
I
goes.
did that for
That sounds
a
like
year.
a plan.
I didn't
Yeah.
charge it anywhere but work for a whole year.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
I only stopped because we moved offices, so it's definitely doable.
Yeah. But yeah, the main problem with home as well is that even with the I like the idea of the UMC on the wall, which is kind of like what I was liking, but it's got like a 7-meter cable, but even then, like I can't open all the 4 doors because it's still it's still too high. Like I've got to basically come to about here. The rear would be about here, where the door.
Oh, sorry, I just stopped. I stopped your sharing. Sorry about that. So we can't see. Sorry. Yeah, just reshare.
I'm just trying to figure out what screen I'm on.
Are you a member of the club, Ricky?
I'm going to be now because I
okay. Well,
just got the
once you're a
Tesla coming.
full-fledged member, let us know, and we can offer you our club membership as a member. That we do a landscaping course that we do. We can come around and maybe widen that driveway
you
for
can
you.
trench it or something. Yeah, that's what my neighbours. Some of my neighbours have done that they've widened
Yeah,
it
we've
to
got
here.
a replanting section. So,
Yeah. I have to get the wife's approval for these roses to go away. But the problem that UMC, the wall charger here, 7.3 meters, kind of gets to maybe here, and if you open the doors, they'll still hit the limestone, on both sides. So that's why I was trying to think of putting the UMC kind of part way down the limestone, So.
I mean, another option is just because it looks like that's not the boundary there on your right. So unless I'm wrong,
Yeah, the
Is-
boundary is kind of like maybe like there. Like I've got a bit of space here. Yeah.
So, well, what you could do is you could just knock out that retaining wall and literally move it a metre, and then you'll have plenty of room.
Yeah, yeah. Like go this way. Yeah, yeah.
To open your doors.
And
I've got
Harold
another
and Pete would love to
suggestion.
come over and start that landscaping contract.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's a bit hard to
Well,
actually do that,
so for
Pete.
$20 membership, you guys will widen my driveway. Is that what I'm saying?
So,
Yeah, right.
why don't
Yes.
ya-
Yeah.
So why don't you buy enhanced autopilot and
Yeah, yeah.
then park
Summon.
at the top and then just drive it down with your phone,
Yeah.
and then you won't have to worry about knocking your doors on the wall.
Oh,
Yeah.
good call, Russell.
Yeah.
Jeez, Harold.
But Ricky, seriously, it sounds like you've done the
Tonight.
right thing.
We have one problem, Russell. See
Yeah.
that slope of his driveway? It
Yeah.
might
Yeah.
refuse to move because the slope's too narrow, too
Yeah.
steep.
Yeah, it's a bit of a slope. I mean, don't get me wrong. I can, if I'm myself, if I reverse in, I can get out. It just no one else can get in the car because I have to be a bit tight to this side, and then I've got
Yeah,
room
that's
to
right.
get out. But no one else. But that's not not the end of the
What
world.
about
Like I said,
selling
I
the
don't
house?
plan on charging it every day, or every day at home anyhow. So
What about selling the house, Ricky? Moving on, doing something with
Yeah,
a double garage. I think that's
yeah.
going
Do
to
you
be the
wanna-
easiest solution here.
yeah,
I think
maybe.
he's been living in his car for the last 6 months, so
This
he can do
Tesla's
that.
getting more expensive every day. It's like, maybe let's buy a new house.
Seriously, Ricky, you're gonna spend what, about $2,000 to get the electric and the the Tesla charger.
Yeah.
You love your house, you live there, spend another $1,500, making it 500 mil wider, and it's great for everything forever. You can put your bins on the side.
Yeah,
Oh
you
yeah,
could
charge
well,
on the
that's, yeah.
side.
You got to
And
convince
you've-
the missus. On
You've
that
done
one,
the
but
right. You've done the right thing because you're gonna save $2,000 on petrol by charging at work.
Yeah, yeah,
So for a couple of weeks, charging up the UMC and having to take it to and from work is a hassle, but not.
And when
But
you're
not long-term.
$1,500 tradesman that moves that retaining wall, give him an iPhone number because I got a lot of work for him if you can get him to do it for that.
Yeah, exactly.
I could hire
Exactly.
one of those. little,
I think that you
dingo
should get
things.
another quote from electricians that aren't in the Tesla website or
Yeah.
run out of the Dalkeith opposite or the Peppermint Grove office. Find
Yeah.
someone maybe in Belmont or Kewdale.
Yeah.
They're the ones you probably want.
Yeah, I work in Belmont, so there you go. Rivervale. Yeah.
There you go.
All right. No,
I put the number of a good guy in chat.
okay, sweet. Yeah. It's just like, nothing. Like I was chatting the other week was like, I really want like a UMC that does 3-phase and does, there's nothing really exists that's a reasonable price for me. So there's a few challenges everywhere I look, but that's all right.
Remember, guys, he works at Bunnings. He can get
Yeah,
interlocking
okay.
retaining
Fell
wall,
off the
Oh, there
fell
you
off
go.
the back of the truck.
Okay,
panel and
dingo.
post retaining
Yeah.
wall, cheap as chips.
Yeah, exactly.
Hire your dingo for the weekend, mate. You can do this yourself. Save
Yeah,
yourself
yeah.
thousands.
But yeah, so the extension cord's like not really recommended, but it's doable. Like just don't get it too long. Like maybe like a 5-meter one or something can get just a high,
Just get a-
high heavy
Just
duty.
get a good quality one. Just get a high
Yeah.
duty one so that
Yeah.
you don't have so much
Fine.
loss.
Yeah.
And try and keep it out of the sun in
Yeah.
summer
Oh yeah.
because
Yeah.
it will derate when it gets a bit too hot.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. That's the other problem. Yeah.
Yeah, but just don't jump into something now and then go in 3 months' time. Shit, I wish I put it on the other side or
Yeah.
done that. Yeah.
Yeah. Cool. All right. Yeah,
Righty.
no, thanks, guys. That's it.
Got anyone else got any other questions or comments? We've got a fair bit of news that we haven't really covered that didn't make it to the news, but we can still discuss that. But we'll go for any questions for the
Brooks,
time
hand
being.
up.
Harold,
yes.
Saunders still had a question early on before we even started. I'm not sure if he's still on the call in the chat.
Nigel.
Saunders.
Yes, I'm
Tim
just trying to
Saunders.
look.
Yeah.
Oh, Tim, sorry.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that was the very first question. Just scrolling up. Whoops, too far.
Oh.
Oh, what
I think it
cables do
was-
I need? My new Model Y doesn't have one. Okay. So, yeah, it's a very good question. To charge at home, you really need a UMC, Universal Mobile Connector. I guess that's Look, that's the one that you can literally plug into everywhere, anywhere that has a 10 amp or a 15 amp power point. So that clearly is the most basic charger. It's relentless overnight. So even though it might only be charging at 8 amps on the 10 amp outlet and 12 on the 15, you'll gain 120, 30 Ks overnight while you're sleeping every night. So that's something you can get. Obviously, previously it used to come free with your car. Now it's because of shrinkflation, it costs $550. And as others have said, it's returned back to stock just today. So that's
it's Harold, but it's still the 8 and the 12 amp.
Which is why I described, yeah, exactly, Pete. That's why I said you can get 8 out of the 10 amp and 12 out of the 15 amp sockets. So that's available. The other thing is the high power wall connector. So as we were talking about before, or just then, that's the permanently installed charger cable outlet. And that can either be used in single phase or 3-phase, depending on what sort of house you have. By the way, if you're in a 3-phase house, you effectively have to use it in 3-phase mode, because to use it in single phase basically violates Western Power's regulations, or the Office of Energy's regulations, strict regulations. So that's it. So
I've got a single phase set up, and then I got 3-phase on my house because you put more solar on. They left it as a single phase. Is that not kosher?
Well, provided you've got a 32 amp 3-phase circuit breaker as your main switch, it's perfectly fine. Because if any one of your phases draws more than 32 amps, your circuit breaker would then be obliged to trip and stop your house from drawing more than the allocated amount. Having said that, you can actually go to Western Power and apply for more power. And quite interestingly, I think they would basically modify nothing but simply charge you a fee to have more power going to your house. But that is also another possibility. I recall on a vacant block of land in 2004 having power connected, and I was asked whether I wanted 80 amps or 120 amps per phase. And I said, is there a difference in price? And they said no. So I said, I'll have the 120 amp per phase, please. But I think technically now they're still trying to say that they've only allocated 32. But you can obviously apply for more if you want more. And there might just be a charge to it. But yeah, so Richard, it's using say 32 amps single phase on a 3-phase house by definition means that you've already chogged up the entire allocation for one phase. And
it's like in my situation that I wouldn't be able to do that, yeah, because I have a 3-phase house. Yeah,
that's right. Well, you do have a 3-phase circuit breaker, so it would kind of be okay, because what would happen is if anything else was on, your circuit breaker would pop and stop your whole house from violating the rules.
Some people have 3-phase house without a 3-phase circuit breaker. Do you mean?
Oh well, lots of people do, because that legislation, that rule only came in a few years ago. So all new houses, all new installs have circuit breakers as the main switch. None of them had circuit breakers older than a few years ago, unless they had subsequently had work done by electricians. And depending on what that work was, they either were or weren't obliged to then retrofit a circuit breaker in lieu of the main switch, or as the main switch. So that's up to the regulations and the load assessment that the electrician is obliged to do. So if you get a induction cooktop or some other bigger load,
must have an isolator, 800 mil from the actual from the induction plate, as anyone would know.
Yes, that's right.
I think
and it's
Jared,
exactly the same as the
when you charge your bedroom stuff, you need that, don't you, Jared?
In my bedroom,
when you charge your
direct power straight to the tools. I'm only, most of my stuff's I'm just switching over from petrol to lithium. So yeah, it's just straight off the solar panel stuff.
There's also EVSE has a charger too that has actually got I just noticed it's like a 10 amp plug. It's a 10 meter one,
Yep.
Has anyone got any experience in that? Like in my situation where I've got that distance issue, I guess it's a trade-off between having this that's a 10 amp plug that would probably be okay versus getting the extension cord for the UMC, the Tesla one.
See,
I personally buy the Tesla because the Tesla has 2 plugs. It's got a 10 amp and a 15 amp.
Yeah.
And it's the same price.
Yeah. Oh, this is just
So-
longer though, right? That's yeah.
Well, yeah, but it's
Yeah.
no different to having an extension, a good
Yeah,
quality extension cable. It
Mhm.
makes no difference.
What about like because the extension cable would have to be outside? Yeah, so make sure the connection's inside the shed, and then the UMC could be outside if it rained and stuff, like, and put it up under the tires or something.
Yeah, well, I mean, you'll notice there's no issue with rain because you look at all the external, you look at the Clipsal external PowerPoints,
Yeah.
and they don't have rain protection. They are just on a slight reverse angle with a little bit of lip, like a rain lip, and you have plugs plugged into them, and the water just drips either side of the plug. It's
But the UMC itself
surprising.
is like IP55 or something, isn't it?
Yeah,
Ricky,
yeah.
that one you just put up on the internet, it's only 8 amp as well.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
So, Ricky, did you say you work at Bunnings?
Yeah.
So what you should do is just go down to the trade desk, wait for an electrician that drives through the drive-through, and talk to him.
Yeah, yeah.
Hey,
Well, actually,
what do
I'm an IT manager, so I don't actually work at a store. But yeah, I could probably hang out at a store and stalk
Electricians
one.
will be going through there all the time getting shit. Right?
Yeah, yeah. But I also don't know what I'm going to ask him, right? I'm like, do I want a 15 amp installed in the garage? Do I want a subboard? Do I want a wall charger? Where do I want to put? So that's what I got to figure out as well. Like what I want.
If you're going to put anything, just put 3-phase, Ricky. Just
yeah.
Because for the electrician to fit a 15 amp PowerPoint, he's going to pull conduit. That's the same
conduit.
labour. It's
Yeah,
only a slight
Normal
difference in the
cable.
copper cost of the cable,
Mhm.
but I mean conduit probably costs almost the same whether it's inch
It will.
conduit or 32 mil or whatever. So,
But then for the
so-
price of like the 3-phase like pigtail, I may as well just get the almost a UMC, right? Oh, that's I might as well get the
HPWC.
wall connect. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. And a wall, wall and a mobile charger as well, UMC.
look, and you've bought yourself an $80,000 car.
Yeah, yeah.
So for another couple of percent of the
Well, you
value
guys
of the
already
car,
saved me $2,000 on some tinting and some ceramics.
there you go.
Yeah,
There you go.
$7,000. There you go.
the check in the mail.
worth
Okay,
for
so-
$20.
So we got a hand up. So I think it's Michael. Got a hand
Yeah,
up.
Michael. Anyone else had their seal come off the door of the car?
Which seal?
Like the seal that seals around the whole door at the bottom to keep the water. I've had that come off the
Take that
second
back.
day I had it.
Take that back.
Yeah, just take it
It's a
back.
service.
Just take it back.
Yep.
Do you need to book in, or is that something you
Just book an appointment through the app.
Okay.
Yeah, on the service.
All right.
So
I'll
If
get
you
on
put
to
it- if you put some swear words in there, they get there quicker, I think.
Okay. Any
Don't do the
not
swear
true.
words.
any
Be
specific
nice to the
ones?
boys. Be nice to the boys.
Yeah. So if you just
They'll
look
look
up
after you.
if you just look up your Tesla app and you just go request service, you can actually describe what you want. So you can once you press request service, you got collision and glass. Let's have a look. Just go exterior, and then you've got exterior trim. So you can do this live if you like. Just go request service, select exterior, and you put a box on exterior trim, and then you just hit done.
Yeah.
And then you can describe the concern. Just say your trim or your seal on your whatever door is come loose, and then just book it. They may just come out
Okay.
and do it for you.
Because I did see on forums people were talking about, oh, don't get them to come out. Use your own sort of glue thing in there
No, no.
because they use
No,
double-sided
no,
tape.
Don't touch it. No, don't touch it
touch it.
because then if you put anything else on there, then they'll
Right.
blame you for playing with it or what.
Yeah.
Well, it's not that they'll naturally be inclined to go, well, look, we can't fix it properly now because you've done something else to it. It's just let them fix it. They will
Okay.
sort it out properly, and if need be, they'll just replace it if need be. So don't By all means, once your car's had a warranty, play around with it. But
Yeah.
while it's young, just let them sort it. It's their
Okay.
job.
No problem.
How old's the car?
1 week.
Ah,
Happened
1
the
week.
second day. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
straight away get
Yeah.
onto them. They'll fix it.
Cool.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Not a warranty.
You haven't taken the hubcaps off, yeah, because they probably avoid your warranty for that.
No. I love the hubcaps.
All right, good.
I
Actually,
dream about them at night.
speaking of which, if
Dream about
anyone
hub-
does think about taking their aero covers off, do it sooner than later, because my car's done nearly 20,000 Ks, and where the actual clips, the metal parts clip onto or grab onto the alloy wheels, it's actually taken the powder coat off or the paint off. So if you are minded to remove your aero wheels, the covers, do it sooner than later, or decide to do it soon and take them off and enjoy them. If you do it too late, you'll get these little black marks on your spokes.
Oh yeah, you normally can get that out, can't you, with iron spray? That's what I use.
No, because there's no paint left. It's rubbed it to the metal.
Oh, okay.
Because after 20,000 Ks of vibration and rotating and
Kangaroos
whatever,
jumping on.
yeah, kangaroos jumping and stuff like that, it just basically rubs off eventually. Not that it matters, because its job is to grab on, and it doesn't matter if the wheel cover's on. But if you like it off, take it off sooner.
Understood.
Some of the meter maids that Pete had, they rub it off.
That is just not true. That is not true. Actually, that is also known. Oops. That is also known as bullshit. Or if you're going to be polite, it's bullshit. Rightio. So let's see another couple of bits of news. There were some bits of news that didn't make it in the news. We've got the EV, the new federal government EV legislation, which appears to be about to be passed in the Senate with amendments. And Pete, what were some of those amendments?
So David Pocock and the Greens conceded, so they wanted to carve out plug-in hybrids. They didn't want any more incentives for internal combustion engines, but they came to a compromise to have a 3-year sunset clause for hybrids. And sorry, what was the question? I've forgotten.
That was it. That was the stuff that's been
That's the
varied.
answer.
So Labor had promised to introduce a fringe benefits tax exemption on company cars that were EVs and sadly also so-called fuel efficient vehicles, which are plug-in hybrids. And
But only if the retail price was below the
luxury car tax threshold of approximately $80,000.
no, just under 85.
Yeah.
Can you explain to me why they still have a luxury car tax? Wasn't it to stop people trying to import expensive vehicles and buy them from Australia? But now you can't buy them from Australia.
So the reason it's still there is because when you're hooked on taxes are easy to put on and hard to remove. Or should I say the government doesn't like to remove them. So there's lots of taxes that were put on as levies and other things that just have stuck ever since. The only hope of getting rid of LCT, and it also aligns nicely with things like the fringe benefits tax and certain other things. When a business buys a car above the luxury car tax threshold, it has to, it can't claim the entirety of the GST. It can only claim up to the luxury car tax threshold. So it's sort of treated as like a hurdle. It also comes into play when it comes to depreciating cars. So if businesses are depreciating a car that is in excess of the luxury car tax threshold, you can only depreciate a pro rata amount of that threshold. So for example, you buy a $200,000 car, a few years time, you sell it for $100,000, make a $100,000 loss. You can only claim a 50% loss of the substituted value, which is 50% of $70,000 or $75,000. So there's lots of little rules that they've kind of embedded with the luxury car tax, and it's just a huge tax revenue.
There's a strategic reason why it's still being kept around. So yes, it's a redundant tax. It was put in to protect the Commodores and the Falcons. We don't make them anymore. Why is it still here? As Harold said, is because the government is hooked on the revenue. But there's also a strategic reason. So the federal government's negotiating the free trade agreement with Europe. And that was one of the stipulations of the Europeans. They wanted the LCT gone. So they're not taking it off now because they can still keep it up their sleeve as a negotiating point when
They can be seen to be conceding by removing it, because if they remove it too soon, then they've lost that concession ability later. So then they'll have to concede something else.
Oh, so it's like when you go to the shops and they put all the prices up, then they expect to say, 20% off, and they drop it down to the original price.
Yeah, exactly.
It's more
And
like,
then you're happy because you got a bargain. It's on special.
yeah. It's more like if you get strippers around, you call them secretaries, and you can get a receipt for that, secretarial services. You should know that. It's, standard practice.
I think we need some more women on this.
Absolutely.
Well, Russell would know about the, secretarial services. You can do a few puff down.
So it is good news that it's finally about to be passed. I just didn't put it in the news because the frustrating thing is we don't yet have precise details of what actually ends up being passed, because it could always be further amended.
Yeah, it'll probably be linked together with some other bill to increase the oil and gas funding to offset the savings that they have, probably.
One thing we should also mention, it's going to be applicable retrospectively to the 1st of July, unless that changes between now and when it's passed. But as it stands at the moment, and as the legislation has stood since it came before the Senate back on the 27th of July, it's retrospective to the 1st of July.
But when we're buying, so Harold, we've got our performance wires coming probably February or something.
No, they don't qualify because they are in excess of the discounted
anyway, so it makes a
LCT.
difference, right? Yeah.
Yep.
And you've got to be careful. So when you're ordering a Model Y, even a rear-wheel drive, if you order white seats and a different colour, you're still under the 85 grand. But if you go white seats, or if you just go different colour and the 20-inch wheels, it takes you over the 85 grand, and then you don't qualify. So so if you want the 20-inch wheels, you're better off having. Just buy them later.
What about tinting and stuff? That's not included, right?
That's not part of it. It's only the cost of the car when you first get it. It's the first.
Even if it's part of the novated lease, though, like it doesn't matter. Like that's not how the government calculates it.
Yeah, it's only on the durable value of the vehicle, not on the. Yeah. But if you buy enhanced autopilot or full self-driving at the point of sale, then you won't get it. So you make sure you buy those after as well.
After.
And when I was looking at doing a novated lease for my car, I didn't end up doing it, I just bought it outright, but they wouldn't include any of those costs to do with like the enhanced autopilot and stuff. They wouldn't let me tack it on after and add to the value. So it was a little bit shitty, but yeah.
Absolutely.
Right.
So that's the that's that little news item, which is, it's a positive thing. It's going to make a big difference, especially for the exemption of fringe benefits tax. It means a lot of companies can then, it's a much sweeter deal for their employees. You can have a bit of salary sacrifice. The other good thing is the companies that buy these cars, if it's a company car, can get a 100% write-off on day one. So it means they get a handy tax deduction, provided they're a profitable company, obviously. And they can write the entire value of the car off day one. Obviously, they'll have to pay capital gains tax when they dispose of the car in a few years' time. But the point is, you got your tax deduction this financial year and not.
Well, do you think they will? If they're buying electric vehicles, will they get rid of them in the same cycle after that?
They should.
Will they keep them longer? They
should. Yep.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's not going to be a 3-year lease that they're normally running. It'll be an extended period because you just won't have the expenses to write the value off of it that soon, because you don't have the fuel, you don't have the servicing. All those things aren't adding to the value to reduce the to lease.
Yeah, but
Well,
the people that get leased cars have an expectation of a new car every 3 years. So have that conversation with your managers. I know what you're saying, but the expectation is most people have a contract, new car every 3 years.
That's it.
Yeah, because it has, deeper seats. Like the Model Y, maybe the new batches, I don't know if it's actually happened yet, where they're going to have the back of the seat, the back row seats have an inch and 40 mils of extra cushion length.
Yeah, it's in the latest batch. You can wasn't me. Someone pointed it out. One of the delivery guys at the delivery center said that the seats feel softer.
Well, it should be that the left and right hand seat buckets, or whatever you want to call it, stick out more, and I think the middle is it's like now recessed because the middle part was the original line. I think that's right.
Yep.
Something
I might
like
go
that.
and have a look. I've got one. I've got a recent one that got delivered last week in the shed. I'll go and have a look. What do you know? But yeah, didn't think to look at that.
It's car
Yeah,
yard,
cool.
man.
Battery's another one that'll be interesting.
It's
Pete,
mine.
you got an office down there at Tesla, haven't you?
Housing it for my
So
wife.
sorry, we're talking over each other. Sorry. Go Pete, go Jared, and then go Mark.
I was just saying it's not my car. I'm just housing it for my wife's cousin.
You have got an office down there, haven't you, Pete? Down at Tesla? Had an office down there, a little area?
Yeah, that's right. I got a temporary donga.
Temporary
just
donga, that's
behind.
Go Mark.
There's talk that there's an LMFP battery coming for obviously the rear-wheel drive Model Y and the Model 3 next year. It'd be interesting to see when that appears. Apparently they've signed the deal, Tesla signed the deal with Cattle to use it. And that's going to give the cars quite a bit of extra range.
Wouldn't it be nice if they were the performance cars as well? That would be a huge bonus, but probably won't happen, but it would be nice.
Is that a Panasonic battery?
CATL.
Because Tesla's so reticent to tell us anything, back in July 2021, they were talking because the Tesla long range and P from China have long been using the LG NMC batteries. And back in July, they're saying that Tesla did a deal with LG to bring out the new NMCA technology, or NCMA they call it, which is just a bit of aluminium in there and a bit less cobalt. And that was, from what we can gather, that's what created the 82 kilowatt hour battery. It was the new NMCA technology. The 82 kilowatt hours, yeah, it's whatever, it's a little bit more, it's great. Best part about the whole thing is I've been looking into this chemistry. It actually has double the cycle life of NMC. So it brings the NCMA battery actually has a really good expected lifespan.
Good to know. Makes me feel a bit more.
Just wondering, do you reckon that they'll get the cargo shell for the Model Ys on the store to buy?
That'd be nice.
I wouldn't mind betting that the company that makes the blind that Peter's got for the roof will bring out a blind for the parcel shelf.
The cargo shelf in US, that style one, needs different panels on the side. So it's not just buying a cargo shelf, you've got to replace the side panels.
You do.
There's little indents, is there?
Well, you can either replace the panels, or you can do what I did. I got a third-party one, and you just get these two additional panels that just stick on with a bit of double-sided tape. It actually works okay, but being a retractable parcel shelf means as I pull it out, it scratches. It's got protective material on the sides, but it still scratches the panels, the trim. So yeah, it's not ideal, but so yeah, I'd prefer it if Tesla brought out the factory one.
I remember, to change the topic slightly, there was talk before around, I know there's like, you can go on websites and you put comments and stuff in there, but there was talk about Tesla having a part in the app where you could put suggestions in for like, features, or do you remember that? No, maybe not so much. Anyway, that'd be a cool idea because
there's an email, Russell.
Yeah, I know. I've sent a few emails
Shut that one down, Pete.
Yeah, I'm not really sure exactly where they go, to tell you the truth. Doesn't really seem to be any records you can actually look at from Tesla. There's just like forums and things where people upvote stuff. But I guess more of an engaging way to like capture that sort of suggestions would be nice. I know that Elon's listening, so if you could sort that out for us, I mean.
Oh, I
that'd be
don't think
nice.
he is listening
Even
tonight,
if it's on
Russ.
Twitter, we could have a little hashtag or
busy.
something. Everyone with blue ticks get higher priority. Like I can sort that out. $8, make it happen.
I think Elon's very
Actually,
busy at the
$14
moment.
now. I think it is, Russell. I think it's
$8
or
US.
I use a
Yeah.
US VPN, so I'm fine.
Still got to pay in US dollars though.
Exactly.
Yes, it is. I can tell you because
What is
I've got it. I've got it on my account, and the club's got it. So the club's all right. It's got a blue check mark, but I don't, because you can only have one check mark per iOS device. It is Twitter Blue. Is you've got to go into your managed subscription, and this is great TV. Here we go. Twitter. It's $11.49 Aussie
Cool.
for a month.
Bargain.
And what does it give us, Harold?
It gives the club a blue check mark, so we look as checked in as Elon Musk. So you get the blue flowery circle thing with the tick in it.
I think there's.
But
gonna be
he's stopped that at
functionality
the moment.
Yes,
In
well,
Australia,
he
they
stopped
call
doing
that-
new ones, but he hasn't. He's still doing current ones. So
In Australia, they call that being a wanker, though, isn't it? Right?
no,
The
it
actual-
just. In fact, you can see up here. We've got it right there. There it is.
There you go.
So there's the check mark. So we are a verified
We live
organisation.
in Peppermint Grove, though, don't we? Oh, we got
Well-
a postal box there. Postal box in Peppermint Grove. Oh, okay.
If you look at the combined numbers of cars that we all collectively own as part of the club, that's sufficient backing, I reckon.
Oh shit.
Yeah.
There's a few dozens of millions of dollars just right there, just
Easy.
quietly.
Probably in this forum right now.
Especially in Pete's
Absolutely.
garage.
Yes.
So you mentioned before you're talking about what a new Model Y owner might require for charging, and you mentioned a UMC. You mentioned potentially a HVWC. One thing that didn't get mentioned was potentially the club. You can buy from the club a Type 2 cable.
Or yes.
Do you want to elaborate on that one?
Yeah. So
Advertising that
thanks.
one, are we, Harold?
Thanks, Russell. So, the other thing you can use, apart from the UMC and the HPWC, which you'd say is mostly home use, although the UMC, the Universal Mobile Connector, you can use out and about on a 10 amp outlet or a 15 amp outlet. Another part that's also relatively useful, depending on where you are and what your situation is the Type 2 to Type 2 cable. So, there are quite a few places like Woolworths in various suburbs. A lot of their shops are now bringing out free EV charging, and that's via what's called an untethered EVSE or charger. So it needs a cable to go between it and your car, and that's the Type 2 cable. At the moment, the club normally sells them at a discount to members, but we're actually out of stock at the moment. So it's a bit of a moot point. You can, however, get them from Tesla for $310. I think that was still in stock. I didn't check immediately, but I'll check in a moment. But for instance, if you're driving down south, most places where you would charge are either at fast DC chargers, Tesla's supercharger, or destination chargers. So, which don't need any adapters, any leads of any sort. It's only a few of the locations down south that do have an untethered outlet. Just bring up PlugShare so I can show you what that looks like. So if we look at all the plugs that where you don't need any adapter whatsoever is Tesla Fast, which is the supercharger, CCS, which is just the other version of a Tesla supercharger, and Tesla, which are the destination chargers. So then when you look around down south, you can see all these pins, and they are two different colors. The orange pins are fast DC chargers, and all the green pins are AC chargers. So they're either, for example, at the Narrogin Motel, that would have to be a Tesla destination charger, which hopefully it says so. Yes, it does. And you can see it's 7 kilowatts, so it means it's 32 amps single phase. So anywhere down south, all of these locations basically are Tesla destination chargers. Now, if I turn on, there are a few locations here where if you select type 2, you'll see there are more places, and one of them is swings and roundabouts. So it pays to actually look at each one of these points, because this is actually a Porsche destination charger from memory. And I'm not sure where it says it, but it's, oh yeah, they're 2 by Porsche destination chargers. And they also have a cable that's built in. So it actually comes out the bottom. So again, you don't need any sort of type 2 cable for that location. But on the other hand, say if you are in town and if you live, say, near Mount Pleasant, and you've got the Woolworths, Reynolds Road, Woolworths, there are 4 outlets that you can use, but they are often iced by Toyotas and others. But they do need, you can see here there is no cable. So this is actually one of Tokwa's cables right there. So that's a 7.5 meter long type 2 cable that goes between your car and the charger. Now that's only useful because it costs you $310 or $265, depending on whether they're in stock or not. If you're trying to use it just to get free juice, just remember that you're prepaying between $250 and $300 of free juice. So you just got to work out the value of that and whether it's worth it. But if it's opportunistic and you're going to be there anyway, you might as well plug in. So yeah, thanks, Russell. That's a good thing to note. Oh, and we can see. So who's this sharing?
This is me. We have a type 2 cable, and my wife has a charger across the road from her work. So you can see here, the blue is the time I've had a charge at home. So
awesome.
If you have the right place, yes. So number one, if you know where you're going to do it, buy it. Number two, it might save you that one time in the country. But number three is probably not. But I'm driving. The problem with this location is you need a 7.5 meter cable to access it. So I'm driving down to Empower tomorrow to buy a $263 7.5 cable. So as you can see here from the numbers, last 31 days, $5 it's cost me.
Is that at 30 cents a unit, James? Have you entered in the correct tariff?
Yeah,
to get that pricing?
my home tariff is 22 cents overnight, 33 cents during the. So they're right, correct? The grey is all zero because that's free type 2 charging.
I was going to ask about the tariffs too while we're talking about the Synergy tariffs. Like there's the new EV kind of tariff. I think that's like, is there a calculator or something on the Synergy site where you can kind of work out, would it be better off for you to use that,
Have you got a solar or battery, Ricky?
No.
Oh, okay. It's probably better off doing that.
Yeah, before you, like, I wouldn't, the problem at the moment is the EV tariff now is an add-on addition to their daytime saver tariff. But really, you've really got to run your numbers very carefully, because the daytime saver tariff is awesome if you've got solar and battery storage. In fact, the problem is if you have enough solar and enough battery storage, you actually don't need the daytime saver.
Yeah, I don't use any power at all. Like my last bill with my car was like $15 for 2 months. And essentially I'm trying to pay back the service fee of $1 a day. So I'm generating money from my solar and battery, not using power. Even only I'm only getting 2.5 cents back, I'm still up. So the plan I'm on makes no difference at all because I'm not using any power.
Exactly. So we'll just bring up the Synergy plan. The big sting in the tail is the afternoon or the evening peak.
Yeah,
So
50 cents.
it's 50 cents per unit
54
from, I
cents.
think it's, well, that says, according to
From
this
3
website,
o'clock
it
to 9
says,
o'clock, 54 cents.
well, I'm just reading it right here, Jared, and it
No,
says
that's midday
50.
saver,
Oh,
mate. That's
I'm
midday
on a
saver.
plan that's
You
been
want EV
cancelled.
add-on. Different
Yeah,
one,
no,
Aaron.
that's,
Mine's an old plan.
yeah, no,
Different
that's the
plan.
midday saver, but the EV tariff is identical, except it's got a discount later at night. What I
Yeah.
mean is just for the purpose of looking at it. The EV tariff isn't bad because you don't get a discount for your EV. You do get a discount overnight. What's bad is it's attached to the midday saver. So, look, if you drove your car 1,000 k's a day, or well, not even that. Well, yeah, it wouldn't be that extreme, but you could mount an argument that if your car was your biggest consumer of energy in your house, then hey, yeah, the EV tariff's a good deal. But the problem is it's the 50 cents per unit from 3 to 9 p.m. And that's most working people, that's where you use all your juice is from 3 to 9.
Yeah.
Because, when the sun's up and it's hot, you want your aircon on, you have to have it on. You could try and do something like push your aircon and turn it off at 3 p.m. and see if your house can stay cool for 6 hours, but that's not going to happen.
That's what I was wondering if there was because I got a smart meter, if there was anything that they could do, you could do a retrospective calculation of the last month's worth of usage or something. For
Yeah, I got my data and I just pushed into SQL and ran some queries across it and figured it out.
Yeah.
If you're technically minded, you can do it yourself.
Yeah.
Just shared my Synergy bill, my Synergy usage. So I'm on the normal EV, so 32 cents normal time, 22 cents overnight. We'll have a quick game here. Pick the date. I got the 7.5 meter cable and started charging across the road for my wife's work.
Yes, when you're flatlined.
Yeah.
Yep.
So that's 2 Teslas, and she takes them to school. She takes them to work, one day each to work and charges. And that's because I have a house family who come home at 3 to 4 o'clock, turn on every device for 5 hours, then go to bed.
Yep.
So that 50 cents would kill me. So
yeah, you just can't.
That 260 cable I'm going to buy tomorrow, I've borrowed one now. You can see it's definitely worth it for me.
Yep.
Yeah, that was what that's what I thought would happen. It would be the evening would be kind of would make it not really worthwhile. But although I do work from home, a fair bit, and maybe got a young baby and wife's work at home at the moment, so we could try and dishwasher and as many things as we could during the day. But yeah, the evening might be what kills us on hot nights and stuff.
But don't let some fancy tariff turn you into a monk. You don't want to turn your life into this kind of religious ritual of having to do things at certain times, looking at what time it is, panicking that it's about to hit 3 o'clock and you're about to get stung, and don't let that impinge on your lifestyle. Otherwise, go and buy yourself a battery pack and battery storage and whatever. But again, these days it's still not quite. It's not an economically.
So really, the EV add-on really only.
You're not making money.
Lots of kilometers, really, lots and lots of Ks on their EV, and they've got multiple EVs. Maybe that'd be the only people where that would make sense for then. Really, the EV add-on.
Ricky, Richard Cooper, he hasn't. That hasn't affected his lifestyle. He's got 2 batteries, and look at him now. He's totally relaxed and not monitoring anything or worried about anything. He's got the 2 batteries going.
I'll plug into one of his. Yeah, I'll borrow one of his.
You probably plug into his house right
No
now.
care in the world. Don't wake him up.
He's currently recharging.
Nigel, Chris has asked a question in chat about ETA for restocking.
That's a very good question. it's no surprise to anyone that they're coming from China. So
World freight.
I just don't. I'm trying to get them sent by sea because sending them by air is ridiculously expensive. And in fact, all the prices have just gone through the roof. So I'm still in negotiations with the supplier to lower the price or not raise it so much and send it by sea. So it's going to be, look, it's going to be next year, unfortunately. That's just the way it's going to be. But there'll be a substantial amount of stock. It's just that it's going to take time. And it's going to be dearer because everything's dearer, unfortunately.
You're still
So
dearer
yeah,
to
so
us.
sorry, Russell.
You're always getting more dearer to us as well, so that's good.
When you say dear, Russell, what do you mean, like hugging dear?
It's the intangibles. Oh, hopefully before the. Oh yes, haha. Well, Chris, actually, Model Y performance. I mean, we've all got delivery date time frames of January to March. So, you know, Tesla could start building them next month. In which case, we get VINs assigned next month.
I wanted
So
to
yeah,
wait
you
as
never
long as
know.
possible because the longer we leave it, the more chance we've got of getting better features and functionality of the car. The way they're changing and improving the cars at the moment, I know a couple of months might mean a parcel shelf, or it might mean a different battery chemistry, or it might mean, you know,
But you could
different
always
software 4 or something. Different
you could
camera.
always
who
say
knows?
that, Russell. You can
You get no ultrasonic sensors.
No,
Yes.
I don't want ultrasonic sensors, but it sounds like we're getting them in Australia. Is that right or not?
Yeah, you weren't on last week, Russell, when I explained in great detail my simple scenario of how you run over a toddler, and it works every time.
Not again.
Yeah,
So-
no, I can imagine how it works.
don't wanna
I'm sure
run.
you're pretty experienced with that, Harold, so I'll take your word
Well,
for it.
No, as in, it's really simple. You reverse your car into a garage backwards, which has a roller door. So Tesla Vision sorts out all the rear view stuff, all the side stuff. It even knows what was in front of it before it got turned off. Roller door goes down, everything's cool. You go into your house. Next day, you wake up, you get out. Your toddler has gone outside the front gate and has sat in front of the roller door where your car is behind. So it's in the front, your car's behind. You hop in your car, turn it on, all the car sees is the roller door. Roller door raises up, you drive forward, your toddler's sitting there, you run over the toddler dies, Tesla gets a hard, massive safety recall that requires it to fit at least 1 or 2 ultrasonic sensors on the front bumper. That would be that would be known as apart from being a tragedy, that would also be known as an excellent buying opportunity for Tesla shares, which would probably tank by 30% overnight. And then it would cost Tesla probably $500 or $1,000 per car to retrofit, because you can't put a camera like they do on Porsche, because there is no additional input into the hardware, the full self-driving computer. There are no spare input sockets. The best thing I could come up with is you've got 3 cameras on the front up near your rear view mirror. Maybe Tesla might work out that in desperation they would just disconnect one of those and use that input and run a cable down to the bumper and maybe replace the bumper or do something to fit a camera at the very front. So that might be thought of as being good enough compared to an ultrasonic. Or maybe they just put a few ultrasonics in, 1 or 2, but it'd be bad. And like I said, that scenario is super simple. It's a 1 in a million, as we explained last week. But the problem is when there are billions of people or millions of cars, 1 in a million happens quite often.
The Tesla engineers, they're smart guys. They must have thought of that scenario, though, right? Do you think they just were like, Elon just told them get rid of it for the cost savings? Like, but they would have thought of that, though, right? That
I
scenario.
really don't know. I'm just a stupid. I'm just a semi-retired electronics engineer. That
Well, I mean, yeah, I thought.
I don't know.
that
Like,
scenario too
it's really
before you
weird.
mentioned it, so,
I don't know.
Hmm.
But so I do hope that my my performance Y does have ultrasonics, and at the moment, for me, the good news is that it currently still does. Look, I think, Russell, I take your point. If the ultrasonics were used while you're cruising down the freeway and it uses that to work out where stuff is, I mean, Tesla should just turn that off, because Tesla Vision is more than good enough to do all that stuff. Absolutely. And you don't want to have the confusion of ultrasonics banging off when they shouldn't be. But it's the fine maneuvers, and it's that scenario I just described. I think in the States, they've talked about things like, well, what if a big lump of snow fell off your roof in the morning and then the car doesn't see it, and you might dent your bonnet, your bumper.
Are you saying this because we're talking about when the car's full self-driving, or when someone's actually driving it?
Doesn't
When
matter.
you're driving it yourself.
Both.
Well, both doesn't matter. Yeah, actually, it doesn't really matter. But
I
yeah,
can see
but
the
both.
situation full self-driving, but if you're driving it, like I literally have never run over a toddler driving out of my driveway, because I look
No.
at the front of my car before I drive. So wouldn't it be the person responsible, not the car? Like a limitation of the car is this: drive within the means
Yes.
of limitation, right?
Yes, but when everyone realizes that occurred to the new model because they had something deleted, you always blame the technology. And unfortunately, like I said, tragically, this happens in Australia annually. More than one
So
or
Russell, in
two
that,
toddlers are
in that
killed
scenario,
every year.
do you look outside your garage door before you drive away?
Yeah, of course you wouldn't.
You don't. You look.
Point.
Yeah. So look, I know that's an edge case, although it's a very easy one to imagine. It's not difficult to. It's not like, the kid had to climb a roof and then abseil down or do something remarkable. It's just really mundane. It's a mundane situation that Tesla Vision could never solve, because it can't see what it can't see.
So okay, so if you've got a Hilux or something, or a Pajero or whatever, same thing would happen though, right?
No, you
Oh,
have
look,
ultrasonics.
Well, there's ultrasonics. If I don't know if Hiluxes have ultrasonics.
They do.
Yeah,
They
they
do.
Right. Yep. So I reckon what Tesla should have done is have maybe 2 ultrasonics on the front and 2 in the rear, and delete the other 8 of them. Well, I think there's 12.
there's 12.
all up.
There's 12. Yeah,
So,
no,
so
you're
they could have deleted 8 and just had 4, 2 on the front, 2 on the back, purely for the purpose of pedestrian safety, if you want to call it that, or whatever you want to call it, obstacle avoidance. Not
just like-
for
Yeah, okay.
yeah.
'Cause, I mean, the thing for me is, I reckon they come in handy. Well, they could have come in handy for actually picking up, like, when you drive up to a curb and it's high enough that's going to hit your like front bumper.
Yeah.
It doesn't pick that up anyway. So it's
No,
like
that's
useless
right.
for that.
Yes,
I mean, that's
exactly.
not gonna-
Now,
It's not
Yeah.
going to bother us here anyway. So.
if it did that, I'd be like, oh yeah, don't get rid of them. But the fact it's not doing it anyway, I couldn't really care. And I actually like the look of it without that on there, because the bumper looks much nice without the little dots on
Yes. Yeah. But as a shareholder, I'm just being selfish, because I can foresee it's not a matter of if this is going to happen. It's sadly a matter of when. It's just what happens. It's just the law of big numbers. It will happen.
Yeah.
And a coroner is going to put in his report, had this car had ultrasonic sensors, this accident would not have occurred.
Do you reckon
And
they'll do the same thing when a car just hits another car and said, if this was a full self-driving computer car, it wouldn't have had a crash? Like,
Yeah,
how
but
do
Russell,
pay
you
for
know,
it?
you know how everyone loves, the media loves 2 things. If it bleeds, it leads. If it's got the word Tesla in there somewhere,
Yeah, okay.
the papers just lap it up. So,
Well,
and then
well,
HDSA, they're just going to jump on that. And, the $100 that they're possibly saving. So like Harold said, if they get rid of the 8 sensors and keep 4, so instead of saving $100, maybe they'll save $60 or $50 instead. But it's going to cost, like Harold said, $500 to $1,000 to retrofit it. And the earlier it happens, the better, because there won't be that many cars out there. But it's just a matter of time, and it's just a lottery as to whether it happens earlier or later. And the later it happens, the more cars they'll have to recall and retrofit, which is going to be a massive, not only the cost, but all that goodwill that they'll lose.
Let me jump in with a story here. Last week, someone got out of my car, a young person, walked around the back, and I ran into them.
On
And
purpose or by
the
accident?
ultrasonics did nothing. It's true. They just bounced off the car. They were unhurt. The ultrasonic. My wife said, "How come somebody didn't beep? Didn't see them."
Yeah, right. That's interesting. Did you have it on? Did you record it on dash cam? Did you keep
Probably
save?
I didn't bother. They were fine. They
Yeah.
just bounced off the car.
Yeah.
But the ultrasonic, nothing beeped, and I hit
Yeah,
them.
right.
So,
Yeah, I wonder with the wires, because I actually moved Leonie's car, and I brought it in, and it only beeped, and then she's like, "Oh, you're giving me shit about it," and then I walked around, and one of our tree branches was actually on the actual front bumper, where normally it's like 30 centimeters out, and it was actually on the car, and I was like, "Oh shit, sorry." So I wonder if something has changed with that.
So our
Is it-
our sensors don't work anymore because I tried it. I went from the side and put my hand in front of it, and nothing changed. It's still picking up the wall, not my hand.
Yeah, I think the way it works for some reason is, and correct me if this is technologically doesn't make any sense, but it seems to pick up objects at a, right in front of it. But Richard, when you hit that person, did they come in from the side?
yes.
I bet they did.
Yeah.
Did they?
They got out of the rear door and walked around the back, and I didn't.
Yeah,
see
you said, yeah. Because that's when, and I've tried that as well. If you come from the side, if you're really close to the car, within about half a metre or so, the ultrasonics don't pick it up.
Yeah.
If you're at least a metre or so away, then they beep and
So
etc.
you might still run over that toddler with ultrasonics on the car.
Yeah,
roof.
so that might be out. If they might say, look, ultrasonics wouldn't have made a difference, and we can prove it because the toddler came in from the side and the ultrasonics wouldn't have picked it up.
Actually,
If you
Richard,
watch the,
just check that you're in your under the safety and security menu item. Check that you've got park assist chimes on, because if park assist chimes are off, then there will be no noise.
Every time I reverse out of my garage, they're pinging away.
Oh, okay, yeah, cool.
Ding, 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 ding.
Yeah, no worries. Yeah,
In the Tesla discussion where they talked about this with the some people in Tesla, they were saying it's to do with the agreement between multiple points of truth. That is, a number of ultrasonic sensors and the camera, the Tesla Vision, have to agree on what they see. So the problem they're having is that ultrasonic is overriding that, whereas they've now found the Tesla Vision is more accurate and better than the ultrasonics are providing. So the ultrasonics, in their opinion, is a distraction to what the truth is.
But that, James,
James
is only in the case of when it's driving.
Yeah.
So when you're driving down the freeway and you've got the shredders to your right and it doesn't, or a barrier, that's right. The vision is better now, so you can just leave the ultrasonics alone. But that's a completely different issue than the low speed maneuvers where
I completely agree with you that there's two
Most
different
toddlers-
case statements, and has one use case taking dominance over the other use case.
Most toddlers are run over in a driveway situation.
Yeah.
And on the freeway.
So and that's
a very fast toddler.
Yeah, if you have a look at most situations, they've been run over in the driveway.
Yeah.
On my
And forget about kids being run over.
Can we
We
talk
only hear
about
about the kids
something
that die. There are hundreds and hundreds of kids hit that are never reported. And that's the issue. So like, we're getting away with it 99% of the time because a toddler gets bumped, bounced, slightly injured, not reported. Yeah.
Rightio. So that's that little bit.
I wanted
Go,
to
Paul.
talk about stuff we weren't allowed to talk about when we were offline a few hours ago. Sort of stuff.
That would,
because I was going to ask about the AGM and how that went and the events
yes,
and all that sort of stuff.
I've actually
Happy.
I've actually got something prepared for that. So
geez.
one would have thought that the AGM was going to be at the Careen Glades Tavern, but
oh no, we shut off the power.
but then on the morning we had to do a 3.2 kilometre diversion to the Greenwood Hotel instead.
Oh, that's all right.
So
Because we turned into the National Pokemon Championships. We had to find
yeah,
Pokemons.
basically. And it was funny because that was the one day I actually decided to sleep in, because the day before then I didn't get to bed until 4:15 in the morning,
Nightclub.
being up late. So yeah, I had a couple of missed calls from Chloe at the Careen Tavern saying, "Oh, we've lost power," and they actually had lost power the previous afternoon, and then had regained power, but then had lost it again later. So thankfully they actually own the Greenwood Hotel, which is just around the corner. So we actually,
Beautiful venue.
thanks to Pete and Rob and I think one or two others who stayed back at the Careen Glades Tavern. Oh, no, Pete went straight across. So so then we had to basically hurriedly redirect the whole venue. But look, it ended up okay. It was the room that we ended up getting was quite good. I think the meeting didn't start until about a bit over half an hour after. I think 15:15. Can't remember now actually. Oh, it's in the minutes, but about 11:15 instead of 10:30. But that was all cool. You know, it's just one of those classics. It's just a drama magnet, a bit like Elon Musk, really. And it just demonstrates the what happens when Tesla hasn't got complete penetration of the battery storage market. So had the Careen Glades Tavern had a mega pack out the front, then the entire precinct would have been perfectly fine, and could have just ridden through the whole event without noticing. But obviously it didn't, and none of our Teslas could plug into them. So yeah, there you go. So yeah, that was the eventful AGM of 2022.
Cool.
Yeah, can't wait for the next one. Yeah, who knows what's going to happen next? I mean, we did have one casual meetup where it was at the CY O'Connor, and then the evening before, because this was a Sunday casual meetup, the evening before, Rob Dean sent me a text going, "We can't go to the CY O'Connor." I go, "Why is that?" And he goes, "Because it's on fire." And I go, "Well, who gave it permission to do that? Like, it can't be on fire. We're coming tomorrow. Come on." They could have at least waited until we were there, and then they could have blamed the cars for it.
Yeah.
But anyway,
They would have.
and they probably would have.
Yeah.
But yeah, so there you go. I thought the other thing you were going to talk about, Paul, was the Tesla share price, which if it gets any cheaper is going to be free. You know?
Yeah. Oh, definitely.
Up 2.5% in the pre-market.
Yeah, I got it at
okay.
what, 188 the last time I got it.
Nice.
What's it now?
Oh,
that was, you know, when we were talking and everyone was saying, "Oh, it's like 200 and something." So I started transferring money and things, and while we were talking.
Oh, it's up in the pre-market. Yeah, 2.32%, and 169 last night.
It'll be $1.80 next week. That's when you want to pick it up.
Nothing wrong with the fundamentals, man.
Oh,
Like Tesla's
absolutely.
just kicking ass, and it's just crazy.
Get it when it's cheap, and then it'll just go straight back up again.
Oh shit, yeah. I've been looking at
Exactly
the deliveries, and because Germany Gigafactory,
Yeah.
going to expand to 1 million. China's
So where's
already
the
at 1
next
million.
one? Where's the next one? Canada?
Canada and Mexico will be the next two.
Or South Korea.
Yeah.
Yeah, that'll be after them. I guarantee you, it's Mexico and Canada because of the Inflation Reduction Act in America. And
They might end up doing 3 in one go.
They could. They got the money to do it. They just don't have the people to do it.
Yeah, the expertise. Yeah.
Yeah. If they had the staff to be able to do it, then they would be able to do it. You know, they would do multiple ones, but 2 is their sort of maximum at any one time.
Well,
So
they're making it easy, people, for Richard Cooper to go back to work now and get his pension still. So him and Peter Ship could do a couple of days a week and throw Grumpy in there.
I think I need 5 days, Darren.
Yeah, that's 4 years. You just throw those extra days in there and you're done.
Well, we need a gigafactory here then.
That's
we
what
could all
I mean.
go.
We could, yeah, exactly.
Oh, we could all go work there then.
That's it.
If we had a gigafactory here, the cost of the cars would be so expensive
Oh, yeah.
that you'd be cheaper to import them from China still.
Yeah.
Why is that? Why do you think that, Russell?
Because we have to pay real
Because-
wages.
Yeah,
Because
exactly.
yeah,
But the factories, they don't really have that many staff. I mean, yes, they've got a
10,000.
few, but if you compare it to the value of the product that's being produced,
Yes.
it's not a
Yeah.
big percentage of the
reflective.
cost.
No, it's capital. Wages are a small part
Yeah.
of the cost of your car.
What's the
It's buying the
wages?
land, compliance, it's all
Shipping.
that stuff. Yeah.
Corruption, white
I
goods.
thought no. My rationale was, if that comes to Australia, there's probably going to be some tax on innovation that we have to pay to give more money to oil and gas.
Yes.
That's what I
Yeah.
was thinking.
Yeah.
Now,
probably.
Russell, our best thing would be like a cathode plant. You know, mine the raw lithium and the
Yeah,
stuff,
yeah.
whack it in cadmium, stick it on the boats that go back to China, and they'll put them into the batteries.
No, I mean they could probably send them to the US because we're part of the
Yeah,
agreement.
yes.
So the
Yeah,
IRA
so that
will
would be
cover
it.
Australia as well.
Yeah, once we
Yeah.
get some nuclear subs, we'll be right in there with them.
I just don't think the market size for Australia and the areas of service is going to be big enough to warrant building a factory here for vehicles compared to just coming from China. It's still relatively close.
No, but a
Yeah,
cathode
yeah,
plant would be.
Cathodes
beat that
and
labour cost.
refineries and stuff is probably a better idea.
And if there's
It's
so much
labour
shipping,
cost is
empty
so
shipping
cheap.
going from Australia, it would cost nothing.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So go, Pete.
Just changing subject, I did go in the shed and I did check the seating in that new
Just sorry,
model.
Pete. Just want a big clarification on that one. You said you went to the shed. You mean the master bedroom,
Um,
the naughty room that we get sent to? Yeah.
Jared. Can you see that seat now?
So
Yes.
the old seats.
Yes, that doesn't
It's the old
look
seat.
like it's raised at all. If anything, it's recessed there. So
No, the front.
No,
yeah,
it's talking about the
yeah,
front.
The length, Pete. It's the length.
inside your
It's
knees
the-
go.
It's not the girth, it's the length, mate.
The
I
length.
gotcha. Okay, that means I've got to go to the shed again.
No,
All right.
no,
Yes.
it's not
You
the right
can
one,
see
you
it.
can tell.
I did take photos of this though. This is something that is different. I mentioned it, I think, on last week's show. Just twist that around a bit. That's better. So yeah, that's the door. So this is the rear door, and you can see there's the rubber mat down the bottom there, which
yeah.
the original cars don't have. And if you lift that mat up now, there's the button there. There's a door release. So it's a mechanical door release. So if the power's off, it allows you to open the rear door.
And just so you know, that red isn't the switch. That's the cover for the switch.
Yeah, right.
Oh,
So you
that
pull
whole
that
thing
off,
lifts up, does
and
it?
the switch is under it.
It's not a switch, it's a pull cord, is it?
Yeah, yeah,
It's
yeah.
a-
So you,
Yeah.
yeah, sorry, you pull, yeah, that comes off. Yeah.
The Model
Oh,
3 has
it's
a pull cord
yeah,
too, but you have to take the door card off to get to it.
No, you can just use the door, the handle in the door.
No, not the back.
Not in
In
the
the
rear.
rear.
Oh,
Yeah.
no, sorry. I thought you were talking about the front doors. Okay.
And you can take the door card off with the door shut. Don't ask me why I know, but I do. Was an accident.
So just in regards to the windows, wouldn't it be fantastic if there's a way to lock the windows from the passengers or the rears from actually putting them up and down?
What do you mean?
There is.
How come you can't lock?
You mean the
windows?
child lock?
No. Like
Child lock windows?
Window lock.
no
Yeah, the
window
window.
lock. So
Yeah.
you
Where's that?
sure?
That's under.
The back ones.
So kids can't open your windows?
Yeah,
Yeah,
window
it's a-
lock.
100%.
Yeah, we have that all
There's
the
a-
time.
Side door
under
for
your
my
locks?
kids.
That's
a
what we
window
I
got.
want to do. I want to do
For
the
your
individual
kids.
ones, not all of them.
Yeah, you
No,
can,
you
you
can't
can
do-
do,
no,
you can
Russell.
choose which side.
You can't have individuals.
You can or not?
Well, there's a window. There's a window.
Well, you
lock.
can window lock.
Window
There's a
lock,
window
you can't
lock switch on
individually
the
do
actual under locks on in the menu.
Come on, Harold, show us.
Rugby.
For the main one, you can just,
sorry,
your
which
main
one
one.
under locks?
Under controls.
So-
You could do it under controls as well. Oh, that's the old one.
That's the old one. But
Yeah.
It's not individual windows. is
there's
what he
window
was saying.
lock, child lock, but I thought there was more individuality. No.
Normally, when you use window lock, you can still use the driver's controls to go up and down all the
Yeah.
windows.
Driver has
Yeah. Maybe
Oh,
if I put that on.
There's
Let's
the
see.
new one, yeah.
Oh, by the way,
Yeah.
that's the seat. So this is the old. On the left is the old, which is a straight line. Which Pete, from the photo you took, I think is the same seats. It hasn't
Yeah,
been changed. So that's just one uniform length. Whereas these ones have been bolstered 30 millimeters on the left and right hand side, and then the center becomes like an indent.
Oh,
But
actually,
from the
I
photo you
remember-
took, it looked like they were pretty straight.
That was still
So Harold,
Yeah.
so Harold, what you're
Yes.
trying to explain there really is, Pete, what there is, that's the Ibis Hotel, and then what you're showing is the Sheraton Hotel. So it's a much more comfortable bed at the Sheraton than it is at the Ibis that you've been staying at for the last 40 days. That's what you're trying to say, Harold? Is that right?
Basically, yes. So,
Yes.
but from Pete's high quality photo, it didn't look like there was that little indent indicating
Yeah.
that there's that bolstering.
You've
Unless
been
they've done
ripped
a
off.
third revision and they've actually made everything a bit deeper.
Lucky
but
you're
you
not
should-
keeping that car, Pete. Just giving it off, so.
But just look at even the trim. See how the actual bottom of the seat is different too. So Tesla
Oh,
there's a different. That's actually different too. So
Yeah.
have a look, Pete. But try and take it from this angle so you can see a bit better.
amazing
Alright.
with Tesla, isn't it? It's like a full-time job trying to keep up with all the
Just
shit.
tracking it, it's just a scientific program. Creeping up the seat.
Oh, I saw the Apple Music thing. That will definitely sell a couple of cars.
Yeah,
'cause
that's cool.
I've got friends that are like, no, it doesn't have Apple Music on it, and it's sort of like
Yep.
they'll have it
Look,
one day. They'll
They
have
can
it.
still use the Apple Music
Oh
now.
yeah,
just-
my wife, she
Yeah.
has Apple Music. She just walks up with Bluetooth
everyone
and just
loves
starts
Apple Music.
playing. So, but you know what?
Yep.
Some people are like, it's like, oh no, we can't do that.
When are we having
And
the
Paul,
camera?
what about Zoom?
When are we having the
Thank you.
camera
Yeah.
you can log in on
Yeah,
your
Zoom
phone?
soon.
The camera on your phone. So you look at your phone, you can see the camera in the car.
Yeah, you've got that now.
Is it really connected now?
Yeah, so
In
so it's
Central, though.
under
Security.
security. So
Only
like
5 minutes a day.
what?
Say
It's
that again,
under
James.
Sentry mode.
It's limited to 5 minutes streaming a day.
Really?
Oh, 5 minutes. Yeah. Unless you pay the extra. Bit
No,
like,
no extra. Only 5 minutes a day
Is
on premium.
Oh,
Right.
really? I've
That's
looked at
interesting.
it quite
That's-
a bit. Yeah,
That's
I
an
don't know.
anti. That's. I wonder if that's an anti-stalking measure.
no,
Because-
Blackview has the same thing. You get 15 minutes a day with a camera, but then if you pay for premium, which is $21 a month, you get as much as you want. And
Right.
that's on Blackview. So
Yeah, mind you, I only just
It's-
check
it's
now and
not
again.
cost.
But
Yeah.
yeah, I don't normally keep looking at it. But it's quite good actually, because like the other day, Leonie said, "Oh, there's a noise outside or something." I went, "Oh, okay." So I just got the phone and just said, "Look." I was like, "No, everything's cool." It's a good feature.
Yeah, because you can then make sure you're beeping the horn at the right time when your partner is just
where
outside
is
the
it?
car.
Oh yeah,
Or
no,
closing
I
the-
only had to do
or
that
closing the boot
twice.
on them.
Hey, Paul,
Twice,
what's it
and then
under?
she said, "I'll hit your car." Oh, so on your phone app,
Yep.
and then so you know how you have
Security and
Yeah.
drivers.
your security and drivers. So you flick under that, and then under
Oh,
your
it's
Sentry
cool.
mode,
Yep.
it has like a live view sort of thing.
Here
Yeah,
it is.
there you go. That's
Yeah.
it.
It's
Pete's
that
showing you.
blue
Oh,
view
yeah,
live camera.
Yeah,
You just
and then
press
you
the-
tap that, and it's like 30 seconds. It'll load up, and then you can tap around the 4 cameras around your car.
All right.
And you
okay,
can
there you go.
choose
Awesome.
choose front, rear, or one of the 2 repeater side cameras.
The 4
The-
cameras,
the-
you know, like on your dash cam.
Yeah.
Now, for
But you
anyone
have to
that's got a
turn it
model,
on in the car first.
yes, and you've also got to have your phone as a key, which is why you can't use it on a Model S or an X, because in those cars, the current cars in Australia, none of them can use phones as keys.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah. So
That's
you can control your car with your phone, but you can't use it as a Bluetooth key. And it's something to do with the fact that they actually use the credentials surrounding that system as a verification that you can stream the video. So sadly, old S's and X's can't do it, and there's
can't-
no sign they will.
Can't use your phone to stop stone chips either.
I can't get it, Paul. Is it because there's a certain level?
Uh,
20
no,
meg,
have you
20
have you got
meg,
premium?
40,
Have you got
0.41?
premium connectivity?
No,
yeah,
Jared, you need to
yeah.
have your phone as a key. So maybe your phone's not set up
That's
as
a
a
key.
key.
That's okay.
You have to go in your
Okay.
car first and turn it on in your car.
Yes.
Ah,
Yeah.
okay. I've done that. Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, it's a thing that says view live camera via mobile app. It's under
Okay.
safety.
Go turn it on.
There you go.
Thank you.
I love it. One of the
I've
best
got a question about how to deal with Telstra. I've got a trailer and they won't turn on trailer mode for me because they said they don't support it because they don't sell tow packs in Australia. And I've had a robust conversation with them to say their user manual says that while towing at any time, you must turn this on for safety, yet they won't let me turn it on because they don't want to enable it.
Mm.
So I'm now on the nasty ACCC restrictive practices. You're not allowed to sell something that only you can sell, but is there a pleasant way to go about this and talk to somebody?
Yeah, I've got an idea. What you do is you do a shit in a bag and put it at their front door, set it on fire.
No.
Run out and stand on it. You find out
No,
where they do that. That's an easy
Do
way.
the Paul way, which is
Hang on,
take them a few beers.
Actually, I think that what you just said, Jared, needs this.
The previous comments were general in nature and shouldn't be taken as personal professional advice. Listeners should seek their own independent assessment from a qualified advisor and not rely on the general nature of information in this program.
Definitely not.
No.
Don't shit in the
Be
bag
nice.
and set it on fire
Exactly.
without proper advice.
Yeah, that's right. With that, or just the horse's head next to him. In the,
Yeah, don't piss off
James,
the boys. We only got one service center.
Ring me tomorrow.
All right.
You got my number?
I
Oh,
think I do.
62623131. There you go.
1-800 Sister Teresa .com.au.
Call me now.
I'll just,
Oh shit! It's at the time.
I'll just
No,
put
no.
it.
I just
Paul.
realised what the top was.
Not
So, yeah.
Paul.
All right, Paul.
I just put my number in chat.
Thank you, mate.
Give me a ring. We can always discuss.
Yep.
It's something we could push up the line.
Yep.
I mean, Elon's already watched this. He's in between tweets. He assures me that he watches regularly. But it might be something we can attempt. Particularly when it's a two-edged sword. You can pull the safety feature. You can say, well, it just means that the car is letting me drive around with a trailer with gay abandon on autopilot.
Yep.
Because autopilot doesn't know.
Yep.
And it's kind of should. But I guess equally they could also say, well, it's an unapproved accessory, so you are taking your own risks and blah, blah, blah.
And under
But
Australian
but it's-
consumer law, I'm happy to say if the trailer caused the accident or if the trailer hitch
Exactly,
causes the
yeah.
fault, I'm not covered.
Nah, it
Yeah.
won't work like that. My car got written off and I had aftermarket windscreen wipers and they said, nah, not covering it. So just be careful. They're doesn't matter what causes it, they'll fund something.
Is that for real, Russell?
No, of course it's not, but it's more the point. Like the level that they'll go to avoid having to do something, and anything you've done, even if it's relevant or not, if your tinting is too dark or there's something that they can claim for, I would guarantee they're going to go to any sort of length to avoid paying out. Whether it's the
No,
insurance company,
but
or
Russell,
it's a
you're
warranty
talking about
claim, I can't imagine there's going to be.
insurance. Under Australian consumer law, if it meets ADRs and the car is, so this is the old arguments with four-wheel drive. You have to put a Toyota Bull Bar on your Toyota. No, you don't.
Yeah.
As
no,
long as
I
it
understand
meets
your point,
ADRs. Yeah.
But the effort you need to go to get that resolved is significant. That's the problem.
Yep.
So you probably be able to resolve it, but it's just do you really have the capacity to take on that sort of effort just to get it resolved? That's the problem.
No, but we can.
I do. Yeah.
But we can
I
make
wanted nicely.
representation. We can make representation and invite Tesla to do the right thing. And
Well, they
like
haven't shown they do, because why can't they let us transfer our self-driving to another car if it's written off? Like, there's fundamental things that should just be like no-brainers that I don't even consider. What hope have we got of bringing anything reasonable to them? That is the most reasonable, like, straight down the line, not really hurting anybody's situation. It's just it's bullshit. And if they're not even going to play ball with that, what hope have you got for anything? You're going to have like
Russell,
aftermarket wheel nuts, and all of a sudden the car's fucking like out of warranty. Like, it's just.
But Russell, self-driving is in beta, so you've signed a contract regarding that. I think you're right. Once it becomes a fully fledged feature, I think that it will change.
No, because enhanced autopilot is a fully fledged feature. That's not beta, and I can't transfer that. Like, I have to insure it. I've got to pay an extra $500 a year to insure my enhanced autopilot. It's just mental. There's
Actually,
no
I think
reason
Russell,
for it. Like, I'm insuring software.
Actually, you know what, Russell? I'm gonna be picky. It's just that this has been seared in my head for 6 years. Auto steer, autopilot is beta. They keep saying it. We all use it like it's fully fledged, which it is, but they keep saying auto steer beta.
No, enhanced autopilot, Harold.
That's what. No, well, I'm not. I'm saying even basic autopilot is still beta. They're describing lane keeping, basic lane keeping, as beta, and therefore everything above it is also beta. That's the issue. That's the problem.
Really?
Yep, it's there. It's in your menu. Auto steer.
You can have auto steer turned off, and you can still have auto park, and you still have sudden, and those functions still work.
Yeah, I don't have. Yeah, unfortunately, this car doesn't have FSD, so that switch isn't even there. But like I said, I can tell you now, as we can see, auto steer, which is autopilot, brackets beta, and I've had vigorous discussions with certain service people over East in the 2017s, where I was informed that you do realise that this thing is still beta. And it's been beta in 2017 and 18 and 19 and 20, and it's still beta today. They call it beta. I think eventually they're going to have to stop calling it beta, because when do you start calling it a real product?
Okay, so are you saying that potentially an outcome might be that when it's not beta anymore, we own it and we do whatever we want with it? Or is it still going to be locked to the car?
No, what was the last thing is it BMW? What was the car? No, Mercedes was going to be very generous and charge you only $1,200 per annum to continue to unlock their half a second faster performance. And it's just a software switch. And they were going to charge you $1,200 or euros per annum for that ability. So the whole world's going to a annuity-based
so
economy.
I don't think that in the future we're going to have the option to buy self-driving outright. The only option is going to be subscription, right? So by us buying self-driving now, it means we're essentially locking in that value for the future, right? But
Yep.
I mean, if self-driving costs, I don't know, let's just say, argument's sake, $1,000 a month, right? You know, like that's the minimum it's going to be, right? And when it gets more expensive, it's like $10,000 a month, right? My car's going to be, the software is going to be worth more than my car. And then I'm not going to want to drive it because I can't insure the damn thing anymore.
Yes, right. It'll be uninsurable to that value.
There's got to be some sort of like situation where the car gets written off. I don't mind paying some sort of admin fee or whatever, but next year I can't insure my car. That's the problem, because the value of my car no longer represents fair market
It's
value
replacement
according to
cost.
them.
Yep.
And it's just crap. Like if I took that off, I could insure it, but I can't. It's just
insure it for the cost without. You just lose it. Just goes down the Googler.
Well, this is the point. People, when you insure your house, there's big, like the banks come in and say, "No, you need more, and you've got to make sure that you're not underinsured." It's a huge problem. And all of a sudden, you can clearly identify a situation here where we're underinsuring things. They're not even caring. But
you're dead right, Russell. Because if it's a house, if you are underinsured by 50% and the house is worth $500,000 and it burns down, they will only give you 50% of what you insured it for. They give you a pro rata.
Yeah.
But as you say, the Teslas are structurally underinsured by the insurance companies.
But it's the same way, like you talk about the houses, you're not covered for floods. And so it's difficult like that. Jared's back after filling his bag. Where's the paper bag, Jared?
Oh, I just went and loaded a couple up, so we're ready to go for tomorrow. Is that what we're doing tomorrow? Oh, sorry, did I miss out on something? Has it been cancelled? I thought we were ready to go.
You'll have to go and put it back, Jared. Don't waste it.
Oh, no.
No, just hazmat. You got to put the hazardous waste symbol on it, and then we're fine. Then we're all compliant.
Used to work in the 80s, okay?
We saw this in the news, and I just thought I'd give it another little burl, which is this, and this is just showing how good Tesla is at overcoming problems. So this is not a very small regasification unit, basically a heat exchanger for converting LNG into natural gas.
Oh, I'll just pause that for a sec. I'll go back to that. I've just got a question. Just go back to that picture.
Let me just rotate a bit more. Yeah.
Yeah, rotate back around. Keep going around.
Yep.
Keep going. Yeah, keep going around. Okay. Yep. Okay. Yeah, just hold it there. Now, I think if you zoom in on that that blue building there, I think that's a part of the plastic bag, the bag situation. It's a bag refining unit, I think, that you'll find. That little building with the blue side with the white red. I reckon that's a definitely a bag filling moment.
Right.
That's where they're filling the bags to send out to people that need that extra attention.
So what are they using that for, Harold?
Okay, so what this is effectively just a radiator. You see all the little pipes,
Yeah.
and you can't, because it's the fins, the fins are fine. They're all like a whole lot of radiator fins surrounding all these pipes. So the liquid basically just goes round and round and round, up and down and round and round. And these can either be forced air or just natural ventilation like this. In fact, what I'll do is I'll just get you, there's a website that I found that had some other images of it. So here's an installation where you've actually got the storage tanks on site, and then you've got these regasification units. All it is this stuff is at cryogenic temperatures. It's at minus 100 and whatever degrees Celsius, and you've got to basically heat it up so you can boil off the gas. And these heat exchangers, just an air source heat exchanger that allows it to do that. The thing that's great is that it's super high capacity, and what Tesla looks like they're doing is they are probably going to source LNG themselves. So they will probably do the logistics of having it shipped from wherever, Qatar or whoever will supply them with LNG.
Darwin.
So that, sorry?
Darwin.
What do they want LNG for?
Well, because Germany's going through a gas crisis. So we mentioned this a couple of weeks ago. They're at stage 2 of a 3-stage emergency process. The next stage is going to happen is that the German government will force industry to basically curtail their gas usage so that there's gas still remaining for householders and essential services such as hospitals and gas-fired power stations and things like that. So, we saw a few weeks ago that Tesla was being like a chipmunk and storing their nuts. So they're making heaps and heaps of surplus gigacastings. And they're making them not just in Germany, but also in Fremont and in Austin. And with a view that perhaps they may have to ship them to Germany if things get really bad. But if you've got your own source of LNG or natural gas, then you're not so dependent on the government.
But more importantly, it's like a gas buffer, like a battery buffer.
Yeah.
They need lots of volumes of gas for short periods of time. They can't get that out of the grid at the moment. Whereas this way they can trickle it in over time, shipments, and then, hey, we're running casting for 4 days straight. We can burn it. So, like as Jared says, they're solving that problem of intermittent gas delivery for when they need a real pile of gas for a short time of time.
And going back to that picture, Harold, of those.
Well, hang on. So this is just very quickly. This is actually this is like a very similar example. It's almost the same install where you've got the vertical units, and these are actually vertical tanks, storage tanks. So then, if I flick that back to the actual YouTube video, I don't know this, of course. Either like you've basically got 6. So I imagine you could have 3 vertically mounted tanks, or maybe that's just going to be more of these gasification units. I mean, there are actual more pads here. You can see that are there. So maybe there's just going to be a whole lot more, and there's going to be tanks around on the
It looks,
outside.
looks like they've got the scaffolding for 3 more in the top right-hand corner there.
Plus,
Well, yeah, they have, but they've also got more here. There's actually another pad there, probably, and probably another one here. So you could have another 6. So you could actually go.
Are those 2 smaller ones just to the right
Yeah,
of that? Yeah, those 2.
Yeah,
they've also
there's
got
actually
redundancy.
there's actually 3. There's actually 3 there. So look, the thing is,
they've even got a redundancy there, Harold. So if they shut down that, they can always go to methane with that little porta potty. They can,
yes, that's right. Little potty over here. That's right.
Yeah, they can drive the methane.
They can go the other natural gas.
Other natural gas that will drive the coffee machine.
So
They're not afraid to invest to protect themselves, are they?
No,
they're not, and that's the great thing. Tesla never sleeps. They always strive to go that extra mile to preserve either what they've already got or to enhance it. So it bodes very well for production in Germany. And like I said, we said a couple of weeks ago that Germany is staring, their automotive industry is staring at a reduction of production from 4.5 million cars in a year to 3.5 million. So there's likely to be 1 million less cars built in Germany. I guess the main thing is, as long as none of those 1 million less cars are those that didn't come from Tesla. And
Think of it during the chip shortage. The same thing happened.
Yep.
Tesla sorted out a way to build cars when everybody else stopped. So in Germany, Tesla will be able to continue to build cars. So this is the funny thing I keep reading about. The Tesla's losing market share. No, Tesla is selling more cars. It's just that other people also selling cars. Their growth, they've got day-on-day growth. So this will happen the same in Europe.
That's right. Go, Russell.
Yeah, so they're making less cars, but the actual numbers, when you look at it, are distorted, because if you take away the cars Tesla are making, the situation is a lot worse as well.
Yeah.
So not only are they producing less, but the cars Tesla make their numbers look not as bad for the country.
Tesla is propping up the number.
Yeah. The same is happening in America as well, where there's declines of the auto industry over there, but it doesn't look as bad as what it is because of the influx of vehicles coming from legacy sources.
I think America's definitely going to recession. I think that country's in a world of shit.
Oh, so is the UK, and so are many other countries throughout
definitely.
the world.
I think Australia will escape the recession.
Would have been a lot easier if we had a windfall tax on gas 10 years ago. That would have been nice. You probably would have had a much larger sovereignty fund that we could draw upon to get us out of the situation. But instead, I guess they're making money while the sun shines at the moment, because they're probably going to be out of business in 5 years' time. They're going to need all the help they can get right now, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, look at Norway. Norway had an 87% tax on gas, I think it was.
Yeah.
And they all said that would be disastrous and everyone would leave, but no one did. And it's been a huge success. And they got the world's largest sovereign fund.
Largest sovereign wealth fund in the world behind the Saudis.
Oh, okay. Yep. Yeah, it's either first or second largest. Yeah, it's massive. And I mean, they're sort of wise. They're like the they're like the drug barons that don't actually take their own drugs; they just export them. So Norway's been exporting all the gas and doing its best to not use it itself.
And they got free healthcare, they got free childcare, they got like 6 months worth of parental leave,
Free
they got,
education.
free universities. Like Australia could have been better than that based on our population and the volume of resources we had, but instead we decided to give more money to them instead. We're giving like $20,000 a minute or something, I think, instead. So yeah, it's like hitting it from both sides, which is quite frustrating.
Absolutely. Someone mentioned the disparity between Tesla's growth and everyone else's decline. This is a graph by James Stevenson of I cannot underscore enough Twitter handle, and you can see there, year to date Q3 2022 versus prior year, Tesla up 47%, everyone else down.
Do you reckon I should be selling my Honda shares or keep them for a bit longer, you reckon?
I think Honda's going to bounce back. There's no question about that. The generators are kicking off.
Buy the dip, you reckon, for Honda? Buy the dip or what?
Yes.
Listen,
there you go.
Strongly behind them, that's for sure.
So here's a question. I'm going to be selling my Model 3 next year.
Oh, we've heard this for weeks.
Is everyone selling their cars with the UMC in the boot, or are they keeping it for the next car?
Keeping it.
Taking the floor mats out, taking the back seats out, taking
down. Putting an old battery in there, taking all the good batteries out, putting a whole lot of
serious
cells
question.
in
What do
there.
you think? What do you think?
Yeah.
No, my serious answer is we lease, and so we start our lease in March, so we're going to get out of that lease next March, so we can get the fringe benefit tax and the $3,500 rebate. And yeah, Matt's come out, UMC comes out, sell it bare bones.
Well, the point is it's replaceable, Richard. So it's $550. So I guess the point is, anyone that is savvy that buys it, I mean, you should be honest and say,
use it as a negotiating tactic.
I mean, there
So
should
what
be
if
a
they
full
can make for $4
disclosure when
bucks on it?
somebody buys another car. Like, I mean, if you bought Pete's Model Y, there should be a disclosure of the fact that he slept in it for 44 days and a takeaway in there, 3,000.
Surely that would add value to the car, Joe.
Yeah, I agree with that point, but there was a lot of methane gas that would have been built up in that car over a period of time.
Well, that's what I mean. It's got to be more valuable. You know,
Never has
if you want
to plug it in.
True.
It's extra.
I mean, there's a lot of people that can't smell drive, I guess, so that can probably take that
So
car.
yeah, so it's just a question.
So Richard, the UMC is worth $550.
Oh, you take
if it's
it,
going to
definitely
cost you
take
the
it.
sale, you're going to lose $55,000.
100%.
It's a carrot.
I want to get a lot more than 55,000. Thank you.
Yeah, okay. I've got a real drive, so.
But it all depends on what the situation with the UMCs is at the time that you're putting the car up for sale. So
I don't need it. I
still-
never use it. I only use it on road trips. So
take it with you.
Well,
You need it one day.
I'll buy it off you for $600 if we still can't get the 10 and 15 amp ones.
Oh,
So
is that cash
I'll
money?
and one off you because that'll be hard to get.
The deal's done. Sold.
I'll give you 620.
I've got a question for you.
620.
go on, Ken.
Ken.
Hi, my UMC just broke this week.
Yes.
One of the little plastic inserts got stuck inside, so that it got unsheathed. So I've now got an end with the three-phase tail that's all bright and shiny with metal, and the plastic bit stuck in the middle, and I can't get any other tail in there anymore, and I can't get it out with pliers.
So Ken, just stop right there. You said three-phase. So is this one you got from Alibaba or something, like a non-Tesla thing that you inserted into the UMC?
It is. I got it through Tokwa.
Okay.
oh,
Through Tokwa.
Right.
One of our group buys.
Sounds a bit dodgy to me.
Oh, hang on. When you say group buy, what do you mean? We don't have group buys, so you didn't get it from Tokwa.
Yeah, I definitely organised it through our group.
No, you did. Well, okay.
You would have bought it off Harold.
You might be talking about a Royal We from somewhere else, but you're not
Facebook,
talking
mate,
about
Facebook.
Tokwa. So
Facebook.
it must be Facebook or something. So you've probably got it from a supplier in China, like on Alibaba or whatever. The bad news, look, I just go and get needle nose pliers and pull the plastic out
I've
one
tried
way
that.
or another. Or you've got to
Have you got a photo, Ken?
cutting. Get cut. Have you got to get your phone and take a photo of it or
Show us.
whatever.
Yes,
get
it's
it.
a picture.
What you can do is you can just get side cutters and start chipping away at the bits of plastic until
Yeah.
you can cut enough of it away that it will then either the rest of it will break or you can start pulling it out.
And just rip off that.
That's all
safety
you.
cap.
That's what you need to do. But
Okay, well, thanks for that.
Just give it to
because
Jared.
Because I asked
Jared told
Steph
me
and
he's
they
good at
said,
getting into tight
bring it
holes.
in, give you a new one for $600.
no, because the problem is you've put a non-standard accessory into it, because if you bought the ones from China, the plastic is not the same as Tesla's one. One thing that us as a club, Tokwa, did do is sell some, which I personally collected from the service center in Fremont and got no, it wasn't Fremont, it was the other one. Anyway, it was a service center. It was a NEMA 1450 tail, which I then had to cut the NEMA 1450 end off and put on a Clipsal connector, which was expensive and time consuming and a real pain. And for the $165, just wasn't even worth it for twice the price. And that the end that went to the UMC was a proper Tesla end. But I fear that what you've probably bought and gotten is a non-Tesla.
Yeah, it's
male
definitely
part.
non-Tesla.
Yeah, and that's why it's jammed or whatever. So you've just got to basically get side cutters, small side cutters, go to like Ultronics or JCar or whatever, get small cutters and start chipping away at the plastic of the tail, not of the UMC.
Yeah.
And then hopefully you'll be able to get it out. But it would be unreasonable to take that back to Tesla and go, hey, I want a new UMC, because they would quite rightly look at it and go, hey, it's not ours.
Yeah, I didn't ask that. I asked them how.
Yeah,
how to
no,
get it out.
that's right. Yeah, yeah, no, just chip. So is it just that one of the I don't. Has anyone got a
You
UMC
got a
handy?
picture at all? Have you got a
I
picture?
do, but I
Ken?
don't know how to share it.
One of the
Well,
female
just put it on your
chiefs.
phone now. Just hold it in front of your phone so we can see
Oh,
it.
it's on the phone.
Oh, okay.
Oh no. Have you got the Oh yeah. Or if you just get the UMC and
Put it in
put
front
it in
of
front
your
of your phone, change.
Yeah.
Is it in your garage or where have you got it?
I've got a photo, but I don't know how to share it.
Can you walk to your garage and show us or not?
Have you got the actual device?
Oh, actually, Ken, just text it. Text it to my number here.
Okay.
I've got it in chat. Just look in chat, and it's in the number there. Just text it to me.
Are we talking about this bit here?
Yes, that bit.
Yeah.
That.
So the
Correct. The
plug-in
Chinese
bit
bit.
is in there.
Yeah.
This
And
cord
that's
is
the-
ripped out and left the plug inside the UMC.
No, just a piece of it.
Just the
Just a piece
plastic
of it.
part of the plug.
All right.
Yeah. See if you can text it to me, Ken. I can whip it up pretty quickly on the screen.
Okay, I'll try that.
So we'll put that one on notice, so you can actually see what's actually happened. But yeah, that other image, whoever put that up, that's definitely not Tesla's. Tesla's the one that you get from the States, and you just cut the end off. It hasn't got that large strain relief thing that Chinese one's got.
But they do need to salvage one, don't they, to get the heat sensor out of it to make those ones work?
Yeah, so I don't have the images, I don't have the pictures handy, Russell, but I have to actually get a hacksaw and cut out the heat, the temperature sensor. And it's not just a temperature sensor, it's actually it's a one wire memory device as well. It's a I2C. It's not even that, it's something else. So it acts as the data on it tells the UMC what to tell the car to draw according to what's been plugged into it. and it also doubles as a temperature sensor as well.
Yeah, so,
So
this
if-
one here is a evsc.com.au purchase,
Yes.
so probably China
Yeah.
sourced.
That's and every part of what you plug into the UMC is made in China, or as in second source. It's
Yeah.
a knockoff.
Yeah.
Whereas what I had, and I still have a bag of NEMA 1450 proper Tesla tails. You've got to cut the NEMA 1450 bit off, hack into the plug, and extract the circuit board with a heat gun to soften the epoxy. Oh, it's not even epoxy, whatever it is. It's molded, over mold, and it's very laborious, and it's just not worth the 160 odd bucks you get for it, even if everything else was free, which it's not. So
It comes out of the same factory, Harold, as those drones that fell into the Swan River the other day.
yeah, exactly. Oh, I've got. Oh, here we go. I've got the photo. So let me just put that up. On OneDrive.
And the winner is.
The winner, oh, it'll take a minute. Upload here. Okay. Just talk amongst yourselves. Oh yeah, so Richard,
Ship's on the edge.
you mentioned you were selling your car. You got to take a number, and that number is 113. But of course, I think you've got a performance car, haven't you? So that's a little bit better. So if you go series, there's nothing there. If you go badge, there's only 22 performance cars in Western Australia.
For sale.
Yep.
Oh, Western Australia or Australia?
Western Australia.
Western Australia. Oh, wow. 22.
So there's thankfully only 22 performance cars.
Yeah, but
in
Richard,
WA.
you can sell yours quite easy because you can say that you only drive yours down the shops and back. Because you're old, you'll probably
Mine's got
easily
lots to. I mean, the Duco
went
is
to
absolutely
church.
perfect.
On
Not
that,
a stone chip on the whole car.
Yeah, you just went to church and back on the
on
same
that,
day.
on
got
that picture you
aftermarket
showed,
wheels
Harold,
on that.
Yes, Russell. Which picture?
that
Sorry.
first one, the picture said highly optioned. I'm wondering what the options are on a performance. I'm a little bit confused what that means.
It probably
Yeah,
means
me
up.
too. I think that
Correct.
means it's a dealer car. Let me see. Does it say dealer comes to you? Yes, it's a dealer car. So that's called bullshit. Or it's also called bullshit.
Bullshit.
Oops, wrong button. Sorry, I didn't mean that.
I think they're just referring to the red paint and the white seats.
Yeah.
You reckon?
The fact that it has paint.
Doesn't sound
Yes.
very high to me. Sounds like they're freaking high, right?
Well, the red paint is the most expensive paint, and you add the white seats, so it's the highest.
Highly
you know.
optioned would probably mean FSD, wouldn't it?
Oh, surely, yeah, you'd think so.
And maybe some like neons or something on the bottoms when you cruise around the Cappuccino Strip, you can like flash your neons at everybody. And
I bet none of them have got self-presenting door handles like mine.
Flash your neons.
Or a yoke.
Oh, the
That's no
yoke's fucking
yoke.
up.
Okay, so here we go.
Holy
that reminds me of your back of your car, Harold.
That's
Yeah.
ugly. Whoa.
Yeah, no, that's okay. So basically, all of this plastic just needs to come out. So all you do is you get needle-nosed pliers and you grab onto this bit and you just pull hard, or you just start cutting away at all of this and a little bit of this. It'll make it a bit weaker. You stick. I can see you've already had a go with a screwdriver, or maybe that wasn't you. You just get a screwdriver and just lever that out a little bit. You get pliers and you just pull hard. That's not hard to fix that. You can do that.
And then
No
just
problem.
upgrade your insurance on your house when it comes to fire.
Because we can see it's all of this, and all of that is still in there. That's not hard, Ken. No problem. Easy peasy.
Drop it around to Harold.
I reckon you could get that
Tried
Western
that.
Power Proof, couldn't you?
No, you can definitely get that out because there's nothing else holding on. The pins, these pins in the UMC are only held on by these connectors which have left the UMC. So the rest is just a bit of plastic that's binding. So I just be, you just work at it gently. It doesn't matter if you
what-
damage around this a little bit because that's not really that essential.
What he could do is he could put a coal pack inside and a heat pack on the outside for a few minutes before.
Yeah, Pete, it's plastic. It doesn't have that same thermal expansion.
Ken, what you could
thing.
do is you could just throw it in the bin and get another one and put yourself at
Well, what
ease.
you could do is you could
That's
just
what
suck
Tesla
it off.
suggested.
I mean, yeah,
Can
well,
you
that's,
get
that's
a,
probably the right.
Hang on,
right
hang on.
move.
Go, Russell. Go, Russell.
get like a Dremel or something, or a little bird grinder, and try to put a hole in the edge of it and get a bit of fishing line and feed it through, and then you can yank on it like with a bit more force.
The other thing
How
that
much was the lead again? How much is the lead? How much was the lead?
Would have been 100.
190 bucks.
$160.
$100. So buy a Dremel. They're $360 for a Dremel. And then you definitely saving money.
So Ken,
Aussie
are you north or south of the river?
North.
North.
Whereabouts?
You got my number. Give me a ring, and I'll yank it out for you. Because I'll apply all care and no responsibility. And there've been
Tesla
no
does
problem.
sell a
It's-
tool for doing that.
Yeah.
What, the no care and all
thanks for your help.
responsibility?
No, Tesla sells a tool.
Oh yes.
Yeah, it
Yes, they do.
That will pull it out.
But
Thanks
yeah,
for your
Ken,
help.
just give me a call tomorrow, and we'll meet up, and I'll whip it out. It won't be hard. It's not hard. It's just you just chip away at it, and you'll get it out.
That's what she said.
I'm in Calbarry, if you can recall.
Oh, I can
That is
too.
north. That is north.
I did. Well, that is
He'll be
north.
there late tomorrow. Late tomorrow he'll be there.
Actually, it's funny you say that because I do have cause to go to Geraldton early next year, but
Oh, that's funny. That's so good.
post it to me.
Hey,
Send
Ken, if you have to
It's
buy a
UMC
new
though.
one, if you have to buy a new one, I'll buy the old one off you because I'll be needing one, and I'll fix it. And that's I'm serious about that.
Oh, actually, Ken, do you have a? Oh no, you can always charge at the visitor centre. So you don't have a HPWC, do you, at home? You
Oh.
do.
Yes.
Oh, you do. Oh, okay. So you're okay, right?
You're muted, Ken.
Okay. Yeah, you're muted. Oh,
There we go.
yeah.
Yeah, you better.
So you can still
Yeah,
charge your car because you've got the HPWC.
Yep.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah.
Look, Ken, I just give it I just try harder, to be honest. Have a look too. I just can't remember where the there's an overlap, like a little barb on the plug that goes in, like on the tail, right? So focus on where that barb is and cut that bit out, because that's probably the bit that's binding the most.
Okay.
Because there is a barb in the UMC tail. I just don't have one in front of me that I can look at, but in the image, I think it's up here in the back part, like near. See how you got this bit of rubber, that overmold? I think there's a barb sort of on the other side, on the outside. So
Okay. Well, thanks for your advice, guys.
Yeah, no
gotta go.
worries.
Hang on a sec. I just want to put a disclaimer in. I've got no involvement in doing this. So the assurance assessor comes around. I was never here.
Actually,
Okay?
I'm gonna
Got me
go
right
and
off.
grab a UMC and have a quick look. So I'll be back in a sec. So just have a little chat amongst yourselves for a moment.
The fact they're not putting them in the cars anymore, and I thought they'd have availability to buy, but they don't. So do you reckon it could be that they knew they weren't going to have enough production, so they just got rid of them?
Yeah,
because
I
they
would say
couldn't
so.
get the
I would
cars
say
in?
that. Yeah, cut costs.
No.
Should
no,
we chip in
not
and
cutting
buy
costs,
Harold some
but-
lunch?
They are available in the store again as of yesterday, but only the 8 and the 12 amp tails.
Yeah,
the
that's
old,
what I mean.
The old stock they haven't sold.
So do you think that they actually realise they're going to run out of them? They thought, well, save money one thing, but actually just getting cars out, if this was dependent on that, they'd just scrap it for sure. And now, because you'd expect they'd have inventory for us to buy if we needed it. If they don't, then yeah.
Well, that's because that's consistent with what we've been doing with the USB, Joe.
Yeah.
The USB-Cs in the center console, you know how they're power only and they don't have data anymore?
Yeah.
Because they just didn't have the chips for them during the chips. So they've just put them in without them. So
Yeah.
But
Yeah,
that would be
no.
the most data-driven car company. They would know exactly how many people are charging using the UMC, and they go, "Yep, it's not a big enough share to worry about it."
So how come there's people that need them, they can't buy them then? You think they have enough production to actually deliver or do you think people are buying them like, oh crap, I think I need one?
Yeah,
buying it and
exactly.
never using it.
Buying it, never using it.
Yeah, okay.
How many accessories have you got that you bought when you got your Tesla you didn't need?
But it's one of
Yeah,
those.
well, I guess there's one.
It's like insurance. You're buying it for insurance, and if you never claim on your insurance, well, that's a good thing. That's not a bad thing. So you buy insurance with the full intention of never using it.
The vehicles that are coming out of Shanghai now to Australia, sorry, not necessarily now, but when we ordered them, when they were included, were they receiving 10 and 15, or did they only get 8 and 12 as well?
They were 10 and 15s. And even all the cars that have come in the last 2 weeks, they were ordered prior to the 9th of July. Well, at least the 6 that I've been to the delivery with, they've all had 10 and 15s.
Okay.
So
just the website ones, you buy the aftermarket ones, I guess you call
ones,
it?
yeah, that got 8 and the 12, yeah.
And they won't update with the Syncy thing, will they? Like
No.
If they say 8 and 12 on the thing, they will not.
Yeah, okay.
But Tesla replaces them normally, from what I've heard, because we should get new ones.
I thought they only replaced them if you go with a car. If you buy it separate from the shop, you're actually buying that product, right?
And they will replace them if at the time when you bought it from the shop, if they were advertising it as a 10 and 15, and you got 8 and 12, they will replace it. But now, if you buy it now, it actually says on the website 8 and 12, so you don't have a stand on anymore.
I'm not sure I understand.
Well, I wasn't talking to you.
Okay, so I've sussed it out. I'll just spotlight myself briefly. Oh, yeah, you can see that pretty easily. There's a little nipple there, or a little barb that pokes out, and it's on the side that's got the 2 power pins.
Short side.
Yep, got it.
So if we compare that, basically it's on this side is where the barb is, and then that barb is mating. So what you need to do is, if you focus on cutting or pulling, getting a screwdriver, or just basically chip out this section here, where my mouse is, hopefully you can see that, then that is basically working on that bit there. And once you get that to disengage with the
So that's only
the
a
body,
centimetre. It's only a centimetre down, isn't it?
Perfect.
yes. So so that's basically just in here where it's engaging. So you basically hack into this little bit, then the rest of it should come out. And
then you can
failing
screw it
that,
back on again and keep using it, I guess, couldn't you?
yeah. Well, you sort of, yeah.
No.
You even need the
Yeah,
cover.
no.
Go straight in with it.
Well, at the moment, that's the only thing I can use.
Yes.
So I can plug it in, but it won't come out and be able to plug another type in.
Yeah.
And since we've got this thing in my hand, I might just re-spotlight myself and just have a minor little rant. My rant is that when you look down the guts of the tail end, that's actually a good view. You can see, whoops, there and there, they are 2 surrounds that have no metal in them. There's no contactors there. So those 2 things have got a parallel where you've got the 2 main power parts here, and then you've got those 2 vacant holes, which, whoops, originally were designed for 3-phase. They even got it right to the point where the single phase can do 32 amps, but the 3-phase could only do 16. So those pins, or what would be pins, can be smaller. And what they could have had on the other end of the connector is of the type 2, they could have had the bottom 2 as proper pins with cable. But Tesla, in its wisdom, decided against it at the last minute, basically. And my little rant is that was a huge opportunity lost, because then we could have had proper 3-phase UMCs like the version 1 ones were. But anyway, rant over. But there you go. Ken, just try harder. Right
Much
where those
appreciated.
DC pins are, just in here, hack away at this bit or pull it backwards. Once you cut into that, you can just fold it inwards, then grab like some pliers, even just get a good purchase between there and there, and just start pulling it out. And
If you get
you
an
should
old
be-
knife and heat it up red hot, cut 2 slots in it where that thing is, and just peel it back.
Yeah.
10-minute job.
I'll let you know next week how I get on.
Oh, cool. And it's going to be great because, at the moment you feel fairly like you're on the end of the line at Kalbarri, but when you get a fast DC charger sometime next year, and another even faster one at Geraldton, and there's one at Northampton as well, it's going to be pretty flash.
You think
When
this
it's
will actually happen
operational.
in our lifetime?
I'm just putting 26 kilowatts of solar on the roof of the new house.
Oh wow, fantastic. Fantastic. You'll almost be off grid.
Are you on Horizon up there, Ken, or are you on?
No, it's still Greece.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
We're in Hackney Street.
Oh no, no,
Where's
no.
the-
I mean
Still-
the
still-
electricity supplier.
No. It's,
Yeah. Okay. Just with that, is there? I've come across some issues trying to get my inverter upgraded. They're not really playing ball. They won't let me put bigger inverters in. That's common, or is that just me that's
yeah,
having that?
I'm going
trouble?
through that process right now.
Yeah. Okay.
We're trying to move in on the weekend on the new house, but we haven't got any power yet because Western Power hasn't approved anything. And until they do, I can't get the solar install application going either, even though I've committed 6 months ago to the solar install.
Hmm.
So we'll see. Hopefully it
'Cause
happens.
I wanted to put a 3-phase 10 kilowatt inverter in my place, and they said the biggest I was allowed to go was 8. For some reason,
8.2 would have been
Yeah.
8.2. Right?
couldn't understand why they wouldn't even put a 10 in.
You can actually reapply for 10. So 8.2 they'll allow without a review. So they'll just wave that through pretty much automatically. But if you want anything more, you've got to apply for that separately, and you've got to forget what they call the process, but it's some sort of a review process that they do.
They've got to look at what's in your street and what the actual cables in your street are, transformer capacity and all that sort of stuff, to make sure you don't overload.
Fortunately, we've got a
once
brand
they
new
go to 10
transformer because it got blown up in the cyclone right outside our house.
But once I go to 10, I can't send any electricity out anymore, right? That's the rules, yeah?
You
So
can.
No.
what difference does it make?
You get zero. Go on, go, Pete.
Going down to 1.5 kilowatts.
Yeah. So essentially, it doesn't matter how big my inverter is if I can't send it back out. I'm just trying to do more. I got lots of power on my roof and batteries and stuff. Like
No, what they claim, their argument is, if you've got 10 kilowatts of inverter, you could, in a scenario, draw that 10 kilowatts silently in your house, turning on, just going crazy and, I don't know, putting on lots of stuff. And then if your solar then shuts off, you will then suddenly dump a 10 kilowatt demand onto the grid, and that's what they don't want. So
But
that's
I
their
think we can do
argument.
that,
I know
though.
it's a false argument, but that's what they argue is because you have 10 kilowatts of inverter capacity, you are able to consume 10 kilowatts silently. And then once that switches off, you hit the grid with 10 kilowatts.
So
And
when
the
I
reason
plug my
why
car
this
in,
false argument is because if you went out tomorrow and you bought yourself a 10 kilowatt oxytorch or some other 10 kilowatt device and plugged
Tesla
it
coil.
in, you'd be able
Yep.
to do the exact same thing, and there'd be no approval process, there'd be nothing. You could just go out and do that.
Or plug in a car.
yeah, my
Yes.
high power wall connector pulls 6 amp 3-phase. That's instant load. Like,
Yes. No, it's not quite, Russell, but it's, let's call it, it would certainly turn off instantly. It won't turn on instantly, but it could turn off instantly,
yeah, but
which is
I can turn
imbalance.
on my air conditioners, my cooktop, my car all at the same time and pull way more than 10. Like it's okay. Anyway, so do you reckon should I pursue it or just like give up?
Well, you can try, it's knock yourself out, but they'll probably just keep saying no until they change their minds later.
Yeah.
It's just the frustration. It's they're just not used to dealing with this stuff because they know we know, or we know that they know that our inverters can be set to all sorts of things such as zero net export, all the palaver. If you've got battery storage, the
wanna
grid
go
will
to
never
a
see you.
If they're trying to set this distributed energy network system up they're talking about, the more we can help to fuel that, the better. They should be advocating for us to have bigger inverters to supply more load to their grid rather than like restricting what we can provide. Like I'm shedding like so much energy at the moment, it's ridiculous. It's just nonsense that like there should be some little way of like future-proofing it. Right now they're just saying no, it's going to come back and bite them when all this wasted energy is just going to be shared essentially. Anyway,
but Russell, they don't care about you. They care about everybody doing this. So they just make a blanket rule that says everybody's got to play by the rules. But as Harold says, Peter, you can go through the review, eventually get done. But what their concern is if everybody in your street went out tomorrow and bought the same thing, we can't handle it. And it's a false argument. It's like the 10 kilowatt to grid. That's what their concern is. And that's what they plan for.
Problem too is that the actual price can be negative. So I'm trying to find, if you go to OpenNEM, like, so this is, I think this is today. Is it today? Yeah, it must be. And between, what time is that? 11 a.m. to 2 p.m., the actual price was negative.
Yeah, well, let us access the spot price and they would have a trouble with it, would they?
So in which case it technically costs money to actually put power into the grid. At least the incremental closing figure,
One of the reasons why the price is negative is because there's obviously way too much solar in the grid at that time. And there's a limit to, our grid wasn't designed, it was sort of designed to work between about 800 and about 1200 megawatts. And we've been reaching new records every year. It's usually during spring and autumn. And I can't remember what the latest record is, but it was somewhere in the 500s or 400s. And no one knows, no one seems to agree what the safe level is, but everyone agrees that there is a safe level, whatever that level is. And if you breach that level, then we could have a statewide grid outage. So that's what they're trying to avoid.
It's just madness though. Like, why can't we get the spot price? I could take free energy if they gave it to me.
100% agree,
Load
Russell.
it in, turn the car on, plug them all in, fucking send the energy my way for free. Like, I don't understand what the hell they're doing. It's ridiculous.
Well, then Energy Policy WA would have nothing to do because they get to trial a new tariff. No, they get to have a review, then they get to have a proposal, then they write up all this stuff, then they analyse it, then they trial it, then it goes into the market, then some people use it, other people don't use it, then they get working on the next tariff. And they
go for lunch in the meantime. every time they have a successful launch, they go out for lunch. Yeah, they publish that, and we pay for that lunch they go on.
They're
But yeah,
bonuses.
I've asked that question. I put that question to Energy Policy WA. I've put it to Western Power, and I'm yet to get a satisfactory answer, because you can do it in an M. There's retailers, there's residential retailers that will give domestic houses the option to go on a spot price plus a small margin, and that way you can set your inverter. You can buy any widget that you want, and get it to basically trade the market. You know, if you've got solar, if you've got a battery, you can take advantage of the peaks and take advantage of the troughs, buy high, sell low, and that way the grid will get stabilized very quickly. The more people have those devices, it will self-stabilize, rather than experimenting with these artificial tariffs. And, you know, you've got a peak, then you've got an off peak, then you've got a shoulder, then you've got a high shoulder and a low shoulder, then you've got a weekend tariff, a weekday tariff, then you've got a hot season tariff, you know, and why don't you just, you know, make it a spot rate?
I reckon the reason why they're not is because that energy is so heavily subsidized that it would be exposed. And all of a sudden, the everyday person who lives in an apartment, who's renting and hasn't got solar panels and stuff, is going to have to get pretty subsidized to pay their own electricity, because all of a sudden it'll jump up, because all of a sudden you're not paying flat rate anymore.
No. What they should do is they should still maintain the A1 tariff, the all-time, you know, tariff. They should always still have that. And with the spot price, they don't have to disclose what the margin is. They can just say, look, you know, you've got this is the spot price plus our margin. They don't have to tell you. I mean, you can find it out. You can just go and have a look what the spot price is, and the difference, you know, is the margin. Then there's network tariffs, and there's, you know, market fees, and there's other components to the tariff. But you could reverse engineer it and you can figure it out. But, you know,
so are we going to be in a situation? So there's you know how we have that EV tax that we're going to be paying in a few years that's currently being indexed at inflation. Are we going to have the same thing for solar, for how much we produce? We're going to pay a tax on as well?
Look, possibly, because so I work in the industry, as you may know, and I've been working in it for 11, 12 years. And for about 8 years, we've been saying to Western Power and Energy Policy WA that we as the Swiss or the NWIS, the whole WA group, we need to invest into storage, whether that's hydro or whether it's battery storage. We need to firm up renewables. We've been saying this for years, but, you know, typical government, what they'll do is they won't listen to you, then they'll listen to you, then they'll agree to have a meeting about having an inquiry, then they'll establish the terms for the inquiry, then they'll have the inquiry, then they'll have an interim report, then they'll have the final report, and then that report will go into the bottom of someone's drawer. It will sit there for 2 or 3 years, and then they'll realise, hey, maybe we should have listened to it. We need to do something now, and then they'll quickly dust it off and hastily put it into practice. So
that's what no one to make a decision. No one's prepared to make a decision. They're too gutless. They're paid too well to sit there and protect their job.
Well, everyone's more than happy to make a decision if that decision is blatantly obvious. But by the time it becomes blatantly obvious, it's too late, because you're chasing your tail. You're behind the curve. So, you know, you need to be anticipating, you know, and I mean, it's incredible still, you know, Western Power only, you know, that TOCWA meeting that we organised, that you organised, Harold, or Rob organised for TOCWA and Western Power Synergy, and the Western Power guy is still saying, you know, they've been saying the same thing for 10 years. They're saying that the take-up of solar has taken everyone by surprise. It's been much stronger than anyone had ever expected. I mean, for 10 years they've been saying this. I mean, how long can you still say the same thing and still get away with it? And they'll be saying the exact same thing, I guarantee you, about EVs. in 2 years' time, or when there's going to be, you know, the other day there was 4 cars backed up at the Meriden charger. You know, once we get lines of 20 cars backed up at some of these chargers, they're going to be saying the take up in EVs has outstripped, you know, anyone's projections. It's, you know, no one could have predicted this, you know, blah, blah, blah. But, you know, all you have to do is look at New Zealand and see that they've gone from 2% to 11% of all new cars being EVs within 12 months, a 5-fold increase within 12 months. So, and that happened in 2021. So it's going to happen in Australia as well, because by necessity it has to, because we're at 3.5%. The world's at 12.5%, and we don't make mass market cars in Australia anymore. So we've got no choice but to buy what the rest of the world sells. So by necessity, we will have to catch up. And if you're catching up, it means that your rate of increase of EVs versus combustion engine cars has to be quite sharp, has to be, you know, and it's probably going to be similar to New Zealand. We'll probably have a 2, 3, 4, 5-fold increase within 12 months.
I'll tell you how long it will take. Here's a screenshot of my my phone of the, you know, it reads out PSI, how many hours ago your PSI was on your car, this new thing on your, well, look at that. 6,735 years. That's how long it's going to take. That's on my app. It says 6,000 years ago I checked my PSI on my car.
What Pete was alluding to is this.
Yeah.
The valley of death of ICE cars compared to EVs.
They don't believe it though, do they?
Well, at the end of next year, we'll be able to charge 2 cars in most cities.
2 cars, yes.
Well, there'll be 1 charger or 2 chargers if you're lucky.
Yeah. Yep. Exactly.
Nobody sees the death of the ICE car because there's going to be this 2 to 3 year, 5-year time when they're the best thing ever, because I don't have to fix my 5-year-old RAV4. I can go buy one for $2,000. Fan belt breaks, I'll buy a new one. Why would I go to EV? So people will be living like that until they suddenly go, oh crap, what happened?
Well, most people have no idea at the moment. No idea at all.
Yeah, on that, so just back to that solar tax, Pete, my theory behind that is that the maintenance of the infrastructure needs to be had, or even the improvement in the infrastructure. Where's that money coming from? Is that government money?
I'll tell you where it's going to come. I'll tell you exactly where it's going to come from. You stop subsidising fossil fuels to the tune of $3,200 per Australian taxpayer per year. I mean, that's huge. That means in 10 years, you could have almost bought a Model 3 for a 2 taxpayer household. That's where we.
I'm not doubting I think that's a solution too, but I don't think that's what's going to eventuate. I feel that there's going to be.
I know, because it's not politically feasible. Yeah.
Yeah. So I still think the subsidies for oil and gas are probably going to increase shortly as well. I don't think it's going to be any less than what it is at the moment because they're going to struggle so much. And I think that the same things will happen with how we're paying per kilometre, essentially for driving EVs. There'll be, if you're capturing X amount of sun or generating X amount of energy, you're paying a percentage of that capture or your use that you're using internally back to the government you're capturing as almost like as a grid connection cost, like a levy to connect to the grid.
A tax on the sun.
Yep. I think that's what's going to happen because they're so far behind what they're trying to do that all they can do is react, put band-aids on shit. And if they need to grab more money, that's the only way I can see it coming from.
Well, they've already imposed draconian measures on solar. So in WA, as of the 14th of February, any system that's been installed, you have to give Western Power the ability to remotely shut it off. I mean, how draconian is that? I mean, you know, and that's a clear admission that they haven't firmed up renewables, that they haven't invested in storage to the required amount, and they've been caught wrong-footed, you know.
Not turn off the gas, not turn off the oil, turn off the solar, which is ridiculous.
Yeah, and then we're being penalised. Like I've invested a lot of money that realistically, like Harold said before, that return on investment isn't going to come. Like the amount of money I spent on batteries and panels, I'm doing it because I can afford it, and I want to essentially make it more affordable for other people by, buying it and hoping the price goes down for other people. But to not be able to, I guess, leverage that investment as well in a way is just ridiculous, because we're essentially the biggest asset I have at the moment. Like I think you said before, Pete, about not all a while ago now, if you add up all the capacity of all the batteries we have in our cars right now, it's the largest battery we have.
Oh,
they've got it for free. They have the largest battery in Australia right now for free. But they won't.
Well, we've got about 50,000 EVs in Australia at the moment. So if you work on a average battery being, and that includes some plug-in hybrid, 20% of those roughly are plug-in hybrids with tiny batteries. So take that into account, call it a 50 or a 40, 30 kilowatt hour battery, costs 30.
2.5, it's 2.5 million kilowatt hours.
Yeah, so
it's 2.5 million kilowatt hours.
What's that,
That's what it is.
2.5
terawatts?
That's 2.5 gigawatt hours.
2.5 gigawatt hours.
2.5 gigawatt
And how big
hours.
is the battery in South Australia?
Oh,
300 megawatt hours.
Okay, so it's like 6 times larger.
Yeah, and growing. And growing, obviously.
So
I mean,
the ability to shed electricity back to these vehicles is what they're
Yes.
essentially turning the grid off for. They're saying we've got too much
So
power
imagine-
to do with it.
Imagine doing it right there,
Yeah.
middle of the day, starting to charge all your EVs. But you can see the problem they've got. This is all solar. If solar grew by another 30%, then what would you do on this day? You have to turn your coal off, which you can't just do, and you can turn gas off. The wind, you can kind of turn it off, but eventually, if solar grows by say 30% on that day, then you've run out of stuff to put it.
Yeah,
And
so
of course,
what they
electricity.
should be doing is subsidising a high power wall connector for people and have a separate circuit that's controlled by them, and they can feed whatever they want in, and you've got to make sure you plug it in when you're at home, and then whenever they want to throw energy in, they just have to do it, and you don't get a choice.
In fact, Russell, you could even be simpler than that. Well, you're right. You can actually plug a Tesla into any EVSE of any sort, and AEMO just plugs into Tesla's API and just says, any cars that are there, start charging now, and at whatever rate. And Tesla could provide that functionality quite easily. And that's just one manufacturer. And you don't need any hardware. You don't need any metering because the car can do its own good enough metering. And if there's a benefit, such as to the EV owner, that you get free charging, then you get free charging. You might even get paid to take it.
The question is, Harold, is whether the car can do what's termed revenue grade metering. Because if it's not revenue grade metering, then according to the laws, you can't charge people for it.
No, but you could certainly pay people for it.
And I don't know if you can pay people for it if it's not
So
revenue
realistically,
grade.
right?
Yeah.
I know they're essentially, they could be at a negative spot price at that time, right? That's acceptable. That's the case. No one's going to say, who in the right one's going to say, no, don't give me power unless I get money for it. Anyone with these go, yeah, no worries, free power, throw it in there. Like, no, I don't think people are going to argue the point and say, no, you owe me 20 cents. But it's not, I don't think that's feasible. Like, you sign up for it, this is the deal, you never get paid, goes in for free, you deal with it.
And Pete, what you could do is, rather than Tesla got around this with supercharging in certain states in America, whereby it was illegal for them to sell electricity. So they didn't sell electricity, they sold time on a service called their supercharger. And they would charge you X dollars per minute while you sat plugged into this thing charging. They weren't strictly charging you for electricity, they were charging you for the service of adding more kilometers to your, or miles to your car. That's the technicality they got around. So I don't think there'll be a legal issue, or they could certainly write regulations around that they could utilize EVs at this time right here and say, if you're hooked into this system with the Tesla API or whatever they use, they could pay you for that. You could have like a monthly sign-on subscription, and if your car was available to take up surplus, you would then be paid a fee for every minute or hour that you took up that you were available.
Yeah,
a bit
and
like,
that would incentivize businesses as well. If you're a business that has that set up, all your people will be driving their cars in during the day, loading them all up, and then all of a sudden you make $200 in a day because you've got 30 vehicles in there or something.
And we've already got plans by this for businesses. So there was it went on for about quite a few years. It was a demand response mechanism. So it worked in the opposite. So at night, we don't have enough capacity in the grid. There's too much demand. It's the opposite problem. So if you agreed to, when called upon to do so, if you agreed to be on standby and reduce your load, and hence making more electricity available to the grid to others, then you would get paid for it. So, these sort of mechanisms already exist. They're not hard to set up.
So that would have been right here, where they actually had to crank up the coal-fired station and the gas probably to full, right on the shoulder, right there.
Yeah, that's where they had to crank up the peakers, the peaking power station.
Yep.
And remember, you can correct me on here, Peter, but do we not currently pay places like Alcoa to be on standby to produce extra power if needed?
Yes.
And they're getting
Absolutely.
paid $30 million a year, but we never actually ask them to produce power, but they get paid $30 million just in case they have to.
Some of them might come on for a minute a year. Some of them might never come on. And it's called the individual reserve capacity mechanism. So capacity charges. So when your A1 tariff might be 30 odd cents, but that's made up of, on average, about 30-40% of that are network tariffs. So basically the poles and wires for Western Power. About 30% roughly is the actual cost of the electricity. And there's market fees and other ancillary charges, which are a very small amount. But the difference, which is roughly 30 to 40%, are those capacity charges. Because essentially we had going back some time ago, we had grid-wide outages in WA.
Yeah.
And the state government basically said, look, we're not a third world country. We can't be having statewide outages. So they had a study into it, and the study recommended that we have these peaking power stations on standby just in case we need more power. But the government could sort of foresee a today-tonight moment when a reporter would come up to them and say, hang on, you've just spent $200 million of taxpayers' money for these 5 gas power stations, and in 5 years they haven't been turned on for more than 5 minutes behind. So what they did instead is they incentivised the private sector to fund it, and the way the private sector has been incentivised is via this capacity charge mechanism. So all these, so there's one just in Neerabup, just north of Joondalup. It costs somewhere pretty sure it's about that $25-30 million mark. And it's been there for 5-7 years, and it's been on only a few minutes during those times. But it still collects. It's still it's still a going concern. It's still a profitable enterprise, even though it sells no electricity. It's because it gets paid to be there just in case it's called upon to provide a bit of power. Usually,
it's insurance, isn't it? It's basically an insurance policy.
Exactly. Yeah.
No, so we need the inverse. We need to incentivize businesses to say, you can suck extra energy during this time.
Well, or we could just have a spot price. And let the market do it.
Have you guys watched the latest Tony Seba videos?
I haven't seen the latest one, but he's got some brilliant videos. I love his work.
There's 5 that have been released.
5 of them,
Right.
the one on energy disruption's pretty cool.
Yeah, there's
With a superpower.
How when you say recent, how recent are you talking, Ken?
like 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
Okay.
There's one
The la-
today. There's one today
Yeah,
actually.
there's one today.
It's
Yeah,
just
right.
him standing in front of a PowerPoint, isn't it?
Yeah. So
Yeah,
the whole
it's pretty
the
wide
philosophy-
ranging though.
Yeah, no, it's good. I watched one, but I haven't seen the rest.
the philosophy behind the superpower is essentially you need to set up the grid to allow for the worst case scenario of battery capacity or storage capacity, but that only gets used, say, 2% of the time. So for the rest of the year, you've got this abundance of energy that you're essentially storing and have. So the cost of actually doing business using energy during those other times is essentially free because you're producing so much energy that you can't sell it, right? It's just so cheap. So it's this abundance of availability of energy is going to essentially drive innovation into areas that we can't really fathom right now, because until there's an opportunity to use it, it's not around. So the analogy used was when AWS had to set up their servers, the heaviest time was the 5 days over Christmas, and it would get absolutely punished. So this massive service for 5 days of the year, and the rest of the year they were working at like 10% of their capacity. So they rented out the rest of their servers, and that was AWS. And now it's like the biggest business in the world, essentially selling data. So that's essentially the same philosophy behind energy storage and generation.
The innovation that may come out of it is Bitcoin mining, because I mean, with energy, what you're trying to do is you're just trying to have a production consumption coincidence. So you want to basically, in English, that means you want to be using the power in exactly the same amount and at exactly the same time as you're producing it, because then you don't need any storage, which is, the most expensive part of the grid. So, but what you can do is you can have the problem, obviously, with renewable energy is that, sun doesn't shine 24 hours a day, wind doesn't blow 24 hours a day, so you need storage. But you could have a much higher proportion of renewables in the grid than the grid can cope with at the moment if you not only firmed it up with storage, but if you also had Bitcoin mining, because Bitcoin mining can be, or other crypto mining can be 100% discretionary. So you could set up the miners so that they only mine when the price, when it's economic. So the price would need to be at, 1.5 cents. And if it's at 1.5 cents, they'll kick in, they'll start mining, which is exactly when you want them to come on, because that's when you're too much solar. And that's why the price is, really cheap and starting to head towards negative. And that's when they kick in. So, if you have renewables, if you have storage, if you have electric vehicles, and if you have Bitcoin mining, there's the 4 legs of the stool, and then you have a stable grid.
But also
how well are the utilities integrated? I mean, we have water storage in towers and reservoirs. Do they pump all day, or do they should only pump off excess solar?
The reverse osmosis, what do you call it? The desal plants. They run like crazy during spring and autumn, and I think they pump it to Mundaring-Weir, so they'll actually work overtime to do that. But one thing else, another solution is to have high capacity DC cables that run internationally. So if you had interconnecting the world, then of course on the bit where the sun's shining, that can be supplying power to the part of the world where the sun isn't shining, like literally on the other side of the world. So if you could get a ring main around the world.
I mean, just to start off with, we could connect WA to the NEM, to the National Electricity Market, because the WA, Swiss and the NWIS is completely physically separated from the rest of Australia.
So when we're cranking right here, we're supplying into Sydney and Melbourne, which are at this point, and we're still cranking. So we flatten all this distortion.
Yeah, it's the same what happens in Europe, like continental Europe, where they're selling energy across the time zones, right?
Yep.
Yeah, because they're all interconnected.
Yeah.
So if you can interconnect the world, or at least big parts of it, that solves a lot of the storage problem. You're just shifting it rather than storing it. And shifting is obviously cheaper than storing because lithium ion batteries do get consumed eventually and they'll have to be replaced or recycled or remanufactured.
Even if you have to bury that cable under the ocean, still cheaper than batteries at the moment.
Yep.
I thought power's self-generated once you had your cable around the world. Isn't that Tesla's theory?
It'll probably kill our magnetic field, and then we'll have a field reversal. Then we'll never know which way is north. They might have. Well, if north does flip, according to all the maps, north has to be upwards, so they'll have to turn all the maps upside down. Jeez, Tassie will be on the top of Australia. Anyway, it's getting a bit later on. This is actually a great discussion. Unless there's anything pressing, we might bring this awesome episode to a gentle end. No other bits of news. We did have the 196 megawatt hours.
I was going to just mention that, the one in Hull in England, because that goes to what Russell was saying about, adding up all the batteries in the EVs in Australia. So 2.5 gigawatts, the biggest battery in Europe, which is the Tesla Megapacks. Yeah, it was 196 megawatt hours compared to 2.5 gigawatt hours. So,
and they actually brought that forward. It was going to be commissioned in stages, and they were going to do one stage, I think, early next year, and then a second stage about half, roughly, early next year, and the other half a bit later. And they brought it all forward to being commissioned. I think it is now, isn't it, Pete? I think it's actually up and running completely now. Or it's about to be.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
But basically, because of the winter that and all of these energy crises that's going on in Europe. So yeah, it's great to see. And I think that and we also hit the 40,000 stall number for superchargers. So worldwide, there are 40,000 supercharger stalls, which is
Nevada's. Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah, we've got 4 of them.
Yeah, we got 4 of them. We got a bit more than that. Go, Pete.
Yeah, and Nevada's currently producing 42 megapacks a week, and that's on top of the Gigafactory. So
that's 42 times about 3 megawatt hours. So that's 126 megawatt hours per week. So did you say per week? Yeah, per week.
Per week, yeah. So about 6.5 gig a year or something.
Yeah, so
are those megapacks all LFP now, guys? Do you know? Or
you think they would be? Hard to know, but you would think they'd have to be.
They'd have to be.
I think they might be. Yeah, I think
they'd have to be.
And if they're not, I think the megapacks are, or they certainly are now, or will be very soon. That's definitely the intention, if it hasn't already been done.
And the power walls are now, are they?
I thought they were still 2170s.
Oh, okay.
But that's not to say that Tesla might have actually changed them as, don't know. Yeah. Actually, I was going to say Tesla's still doing Powerwalls, they are, but they're not doing power packs. Yeah, don't know, John. That's a good question.
No, I've got Sonnen home batteries, and they're all LFPs.
Yes, yeah, and so are the BYDs. They're LFPs.
And the Huawei's.
And
the Huawei's.
Are the LGs LFPs as well?
Oh, I'm not sure. I've got an LG at work.
So the LG's got recalled? All of them got recalled?
Yeah. I've got to get round to getting mine recalled too. Oh, well. It's all right. It's in a tilt slab. There's nothing flammable nearby.
A Chevy Bolt anyway, so it should be fine.
Yeah, why not? It's just not fair, is it? It's just not fair. Tesla's just beating everyone, and everyone else is just coming second. And every other order. Cool. Awesome. All right, Pete, how would you round up, since it is after 11, how would you round out this awesome show?
As always, stay safe, stay sustainable, and stay ahead of the curve.
The best way to do that is buy a Tesla, join Tokwa, and ask us anything about accelerating the world's transition to sustainable energy.
And making the future awesome.
Roll
Good
on,
night,
Jen.
everyone. Great show. Look forward to
Good
seeing you next
night.
week and ask us
Good night,
anything.
everyone.
Good night,
Good
everyone.
night, gents.
See you guys.